Hello everybody, Glass Half Dead here, and today I'm going to be talking elites with the one, the only, Sugi, who is on that side of me. Is he? Yeah. Sugi, who are you?
So I'm somebody who plays. I've been playing Warhammer since like 2004 or five. So like when I was in college, and it was right in that point in time where things were kind of sticky with Games Workshop. So you would have like a third edition codex and then like a fifth edition rule book, and you're like, what is a target priority rule? Because the codex says that's a thing, and the rules don't have that. So it was a fun experience starting with like Tau and then getting into all kinds of other things like orcs and just loving this hobby over the course of so many years. And then Kill Team was announced, and I was like, this seems like those old squad patrols things where you took like 400, 500 points, and those were really fun to play. And I'd like to do more of that. So I saw the information from Warhammer Community. They started leaking it, and then I got the book, and I was like, this is incredible. Like, you can play games really quickly. You can buy into all these factions that you may or may not want to play with like a big army, but like you can play for fun with Kill Team, or you can even play competitively. And a full Kill Team is like not even $100 if you're like super competitive. And so I was like, okay, I'm sucked in. And then like the podcast just kind of took over, and it was fun talking about it, talking to other people about it. And here we are talking about elites like almost a year later. We're like a few months away from like the year anniversary of Kill Team, which is like uber exciting that we're still here and the game is like thriving out of control. So yeah, I'm a really avid gamer, especially for like miniatures and Games Workshop products.
Yes, so for anyone that didn't catch that, you have a podcast called Squad Tactica for Kill
I
Team.
do. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Yes. Well, for anyone unaware, we are going to go over who I am on your show after
Hmm.
this, because this is going to be a two-parter. In this
Oh
show
yeah.
right now, we are going to go over additional rules like reserves, and the new factions, how they work. We're also going to cover sub-factions, our thoughts and feelings on those, and if we have time, missions. And then on your podcast, we're going to discuss all of the new units, because that's a whole lot of stuff to talk about.
Yeah. Some of the poor factions, cough, Genestealer cult, they don't really get anything. So there's gonna be some weird gaps in that. I'm excited to talk about that just because it felt strange that certain factions seem to get nothing in terms of like competitive viability, or they were just ignored, like the Star Striders and Gellerpox. But I digress. We'll talk about that in the second part of this wonderful, super extra long show we're going to be doing.
Let's not make it too long, because by the end, I'm just gonna say, oh, okay, so Sugi, what do you think of that? And then mute my microphone and walk away, as as my mind goes blank. Anyway, let's dive in. So for anybody unaware, you can see me here. I have the Elites rulebook in front of me. It's a lovely thing. I'm very excited. I have not yet got it spiral bound like I have this. I do recommend everyone does that, by the way. Really genuinely helpful. However, first thing we're going to talk about are the additional rules. Standard deployment variable battle length. Those are just codifying things that we've already seen before. We don't care about those. What we
No.
do care about are reserves. Sugi, have you read the reserve rules?
Yes, I have, and I'm very excited because it opens up a new formula to Kill Team. Most
Hmm.
people who play competitively will have, like for example with orcs, they'll make their cheapest, most inefficient model their leader, aka like a Gretchen, and then they'll sit it on a command point in the backfield in their deployment zone, and they basically paid X amount of points for something to soak uh, objective points and give them command points throughout the game. And there's just nothing you can do about it. Like you will not ever walk your models down the field to stop them because they're just going to get shot off the board, and it's just really inefficient. Also, in competitive tournaments, there's a lot of secondary objectives that ask you to get into your opponent's backfield, either to be within like 1 inch of 3 different sides of the board, or different things that ask you to uh, contest or control the objective farthest from your deployment zone, which is in your enemy's area. And those are pretty much ignored. Like if you played an Adepticon, or I'm assuming earlier Nova 2018, unless you had something that could really move and stay alive, maybe Harlequins, it just wasn't a viable secondary objective because there were other things that were much easier to complete. Now with reserves, we have the capacity to actually fulfill those requirements and to force the opponent to consider, do I really want my 3-point Gretchen to be my leader because someone can just drop in reserves and then the next turn charge it? It's probably going to die. So it's a really mind gamey kind of thing now, where you have to ponder, like, how do I present my army on the table now?
Yep, no, I completely agree. Before I say my thoughts, I'm gonna actually read the reserve rules so that we all know what they are, because of course not everybody plays 40k. A lot of people have come into kill team,
Mhm.
just fresh out of it, so they may have no idea what reserve rules are. So basically, with a reserve rule, you are allowed to hold back. In the deployment phase, you don't have to deploy all of your models. You are allowed to hold back up to 50% of your models in both points cost and in model count. There, both of those are taken into account, and you can then, if you wish, so you are then allowed to deploy just normally at any point in a movement phase, at the end of a movement phase, from your board edge, where your deployment zone is. However, there is a tactic called outflank that everyone now gets access to, and that I shall read to you now. Outflank Tactic 1 command point. Use this tactic at the end of the movement phase. Choose a model from your kill team that was set up in reserve and set them up within 1 inch of the edge of the battlefield and more than 5 inches away from any enemy models. So obviously that speaks to what you were just saying there, Sugi, where my instant thought when I read this was in fact exactly what you said. Leaders are no longer safe. They can no longer
Mhm.
be something you take at the back of the board. I think that is great, because let's be honest, a Gretchen should never have been the leader for that kill team. But as an orc, you had to take it to have any chance of keeping your leader alive. You had to take it. So this is a direct nerf to orcs. Sorry, orc
Yeah.
players. However, because now every leader is going to, you're going to think about them in a competitive capacity. And when I say competitive, I mean, can they survive?
Mhm.
That is actually a bit of a bonus for elite teams, because elite teams, well, you already have to be using your leader, because otherwise you're down a man, and that's could be up to 20% of your team, you know. So,
Mhm.
so yeah, I hadn't actually considered it for the objectives though. That is an
Yeah.
interesting point, but you're exactly right.
That's
Yeah.
that's like one of the most annoying things about Adepticon was, like, the objective. I can't remember what it was called, but it basically asked you to have a model within 1 inch of each battlefield edge, not including your edge. So it was like, well, I can get to the left, I can get to the right, I cannot get to my opponent's side. And of the multiple matches that we played, that one objective was in every one of them. And I'm like, this is a dead card. I don't want this card. Why does this exist? And now after seeing this, it's like, they probably knew this was coming, so it makes more sense. But
Interesting.
like,
I've had that tactic played against me quite a lot, but it's usually by the faster factions with, Tyranids who don't
yeah,
really care because they're just moving 8 inches everywhere, and I play an
right.
elite team, so I can't block them anyway. But yeah,
That's right, because you play Grey Knights, I believe.
I play anything that's not good. Yeah.
I don't know. A lot of things are about to become really good. Like, I don't know if that's a
Yes.
viable statement anymore. I haven't seen
Well,
anything that's like terrible anymore. Like, there's so many good things.
we will talk about that. We will definitely talk about that,
Oh yeah.
because yes. Okay. Well, you know what? As you say, everything has now changed. The meta is no longer the meta. We can make educated guesses, but we don't really know. And that's because every faction, apart from Kroot, Eliciting Starstriders, Galapox Infected, Servants of the Abyss, have
Yeah.
now received a direct buff. If you buy your Elites book, you can take exactly the same kill team, and it is now just better. And that's because of sub-faction bonuses. Now, sub-faction bonuses are something that you add to your model when you put them into your kill team roster. So, for example, your roster, using Adeptus Astartes as an example, because everyone knows them, you could have, let's say, 5 models that are listed as being Blood Angels, 5 models that are listed as being Dark Angels, and 10 models that are listed as being Ultramarines. That would be a terrible idea, but you could. And then when you took each of those models, if everything you took were Blood Angels, they would get a special rule. If all of them were Ultramarines, you would get a special rule, etc. However, if you mix them, so you take, let's say, 3 Blood Angels, 2 Ultramarines, you will not get any bonus. So that opens up a whole new level of roster building, which I think is really interesting. And to be honest, I've only really started to scratch the surface mentally with what I think that will kind of. I mean, at the moment, I'm thinking, oh, okay, so I'm going to take a melee team. All right, there be Blood Angels. Oh, I'm taking a shooting team. Okay, there be Imperial Fists. I really haven't thought about it beyond that at this point. But it's interesting stuff.
I think it's interesting that they specifically say in the sub-faction rules, I'll just read it. When you add a model with a faction keyword to your kill team or command roster, you can choose for it to be drawn from a sub-faction of your choice from those listed in that faction section of the book. When you choose a sub-faction from a model this way, make a note on the data card. It's treated as an additional keyword, blah, blah, blah. So the interesting discussion that I've seen online and in both of our Discords is because you still have the 20 model option, you could, especially for more elite teams, say your Space Marines, you could have 2 sub-factioned lists in your command roster. So you could bring like a melee oriented Space Wolf Blood Angels list, or a more shooty Dark Angels or Salamanders, and you can have like 10 models in one, 10 models in the other, and then when you see what your opponent brings, you can go, okay, well, they're, what is my opponent's army, what is the counter, and then you can pull from that. So I find it really interesting that like the command roster has a significant amount of strategic value. It had a lot of value before, but the fact that you can bring 2 sub factions in theory, depending on the army, is really neat. It opens up so many options for the competitive and the casual player, realistically. But like it's so multi-layered where you're like, oh, you could do so, even if you wanted to bring like 3 really elite teams in sub factions, like it's just cool, straight up neat.
Yep, I completely agree. I think it's a great addition. Also, on a minor note, it does mean that you might actually end up taking less physical models. Obviously, you're still
Mm-hmm.
going to have a 20-man roster, but you might have 2 or 3 guys kitted out identically, but they are different sub
Mm-hmm.
factions.
Yeah.
And so suddenly your kill team's only 10 people, but they actually count as 2 on the roster. Anyway, I'm going to jump into it, and I'm actually
Okay.
just going to read out all of the Space Marine sub-faction chapter tactics. So for Space Marines, they are called chapter tactics. I'm not going to read them verbatim
Mm-hmm.
because I hopefully don't have to. But so you have the option of Dark Angels, White Scars, Space Wolves, Imperial Fists, Blood Angels. I've run out of fingers. Iron Hands, Ultramarines, Salamanders, Raven Guard, and Black Templars. Right. For those of you that I'm sure that most people watching this do know, because we've all already seen the screen caps. We've all watched Glacial Geek and Miniature Guerrilla Wargaming, and they did a great job of, big thanks to them for letting us see all of this before. That was awesome. Good job then. But for those of you that don't, Dark Angels have something called Grim Resolve. You can reroll hit rolls of 1 for shooting attacks made by models in your kill team, including when firing Overwatch, that have not moved in this battle round. In addition, you can reroll the dice to determine whether or not your kill team is broken in the morale phase. Do you want me to read them all out, or should we go one by one? Let's
I
go
mean,
one by one.
it's
Let's go.
let's go one by one. I like this one a lot. The reroll is good, but like being able to reroll for broken in team the morale phase is really good. However, if you're at that point, you're probably losing, so you don't want to get to that point.
I was just going to say, I don't plan to. If I'm making that roll, things have gone poorly. But to be fair, you know, that is the opposite of a win more ability. You know, a win more ability for anyone unaware is I'm winning, so let's snowball into winning harder.
Yeah.
This is a straight up, you're gonna lose. This can save you, which is of course very potentially very valuable. Although we have to talk about the reroll hit rolls of 1 if you haven't moved.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, if you're taking this, that is a very specific niche, because you need to be moving. You know, you need to get on objective points. So the only one that's not moving, let's think, are going to be snipers, heavy gunners, maybe. You know, if you
Yeah.
have a sniper tower at the back of the board. I'm not taking a subfaction of reroll 1s just for them, you know?
I don't think this is like competitively good, but I do like the fact you get 2 for the price of 1. A lot of the subfactions get like 1 flat ability, and like you said, this is a kind of a save, like a oh crap button. If you happen to break, this can potentially keep you out of a nightmare. For fun, probably good. For competitive, not so much.
I suppose while we're here, we should quickly ask, do you generally approach the game from a competitive sense or from a fun sense? Although, just to
Right.
very quickly add, of course, competitive can be fun.
Usually you play for fun, but I'm getting ready for Nova.
Okay.
So kind of right now I'm in that competitive mindset. But I have a lot of friends who we just play for kicks and giggles. Like we're definitely going to play like 3 Terminators versus 2 Adeptus Custodes and see like which butt heads happen.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. No, I enjoy that sort of thing as well, and I very much want to make a 3 Terminator list. I'm not going to win, but
in Arena you might. It could happen.
so you've never played Arena. Good to know. Okay. So, White Scars get Lightning Assault. When a model in your kill team advances, add an additional 2 inches to the distance it can move. In addition, if a model in your kill team started the movement phase within 1 inch of an enemy model, but when you pick it to move there are no enemy models within 1 inch, that model can make a charge attempt instead of falling back or remaining stationary. What are your thoughts?
I like this one for a lot of things. Competitively, it's decent. I can't say if it's going to be super great or not, but it kind of solves the problem that I think we all figured out when we first played. And like you're in combat, you feel real good, and your opponent goes first, and they go, "Gonna fall back." And you're like, "Okay, I'll just come back at you." And you're like, "No, you're gonna stand right there and do nothing." And you're like, "What?" And you have that moment of realization, like if your opponent runs away, you just kind of stand there and like wave at them for some odd reason. And the ability to now kind of circumvent that is I think great for casual players, because for me that was a feel bad moment when it first happened. I was like, wait, I gotta look at the rule book. That can't be how this works. That's so unintuitive. And then it was like, oh, that is how it works. Crap. The 2 inches on advancing is really good because, like you were saying with Dark Angels, you have to move, and 2 inches is significant. That's 33% of your die. So getting a free boost, like, okay, the worst I can do is 3 inches. You instantly went from 1 inch as your worst to 3 inches, which is, a 50% chance. And great. So you can just run down the field and start contesting objectives real quick. It's good. It's real good. So I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, suddenly you have Marines that, first turn move, getting onto objectives is very important. You can easily plan for this, take assault weapons mainly. Suddenly, instead of everybody moving 7 inches potentially, you've got a minimum of 9.
8. Oh yeah, 9
because it's +1 because you get the advance.
Yeah.
Yep, and then
That's
potentially up to 14. Is that right? Yes. So
no, 12.
no, it's
14,
+2. So it's right.
14.
Yeah. So obviously, I mean that's a fast Marine. That's a fast.
That's a scary.
You're on any objective you want, basically. Yeah,
We got Harlequin Marines over here.
pretty cool. Pretty cool. And then,
Good.
as you say, the being able to charge if you are no longer within 1 inch.
Hmm.
Um, it's going to be really. I think you'll be able to make some interesting lists designed around that. You know, close combat Marines could be a thing now that we have Vanguard vets, which we're going to get to in your
Hmm.
podcast. But I'm actually less worried about that. If I were to take this, it would be for the 2 inch advance. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's just a flat amazing bonus.
Mm. Space
Everything else is
Wolves.
just
Yeah.
like it's just icing on the cake. It's so good.
No, yep, I agree completely. Yeah. Space Wolves Hunters Unleashed. In any battle round in which a model in your kill team charged, was charged, or made a pile-in move granted by the Heroic Intervention Commander tactic, aka something we're not going to talk about because it's commanders, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by that model in the fight phase. In addition, you can use the Heroic Intervention Commander tactic, which we're not going to talk about, if there are any enemy models within 6 inches rather than 3, or your commander, and when you do so, you can make a pile move of 6 inches rather than 3. So let's ignore that because in competitive play, that's not a thing. That little bit at the end there. So basically, you reroll hit rolls of 1, yeah, in the fight phase. That's pretty good, I guess.
I oh what you add 1 to your hit roll. No, I guess I can see where you're going with that. Yeah,
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I said the wrong thing at the end there. Yes,
it's
you add 1 to your hit rolls for attacks made by the model in the fight phase. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know
Uh,
what I was
I
talking
guess
about.
we could probably lump Blood Angels in with this. The Blood Angels are the exact opposite, where you add 1 to on your wound rolls.
That's not
And I
what I'd
think
call the opposite, but yes,
well,
instead of
like on the
getting +1 to hit, you get
yeah.
+1 to wound rolls in to attacks made in the fight phase.
Which do you think is better?
Although I will point out quickly, yeah, that it's only when you are charged or charge. So it's not every fight phase. Which do I think is better? I would say that would be Blood Angels.
To wound, okay.
I'd rather have the wound roll, if I'm honest. Um, I mean, it depends how you're killing them out, doesn't it?
Hmm.
So your strength 4 base, if you're killing them out for close combat,
Hmm.
you're probably going to be taking things that give them +1 to strength, which is going to put them up to 3s to wound pretty much everything in the game. However, I shouldn't be doing this, but right,
It's time
I
for math, folks.
no, 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 no. It's just I forgot what the lightning claw gives us. Okay, so the reason I say this is because the lightning claw, which I think is a brilliant weapon for a single point on a Vanguard vet,
Hmm.
doesn't give you any plus to strength. So you're still only strength 4, which means you're only wounding other Marines on 4s.
Hmm.
The +1 to wound is infinitely more valuable than a +1 to hit with them. That's the only
Okay.
reason I mention it. Otherwise, they're pretty middle of the road. Like in power level wise, but I definitely lead towards Blood Angels.
Yeah, I think this will be fun to see people play the Space Wolves and the Blood Angels because, like you said, it really depends on how they're kitted out. And like when you see a Space Wolf, you can go, "Oh, interesting. They must have like really high strength weapons." So that way they're trying to get that +1 to hit you so that their weapons can just kind of roll through you. And then vice versa with Blood Angels. So it's kind of a tell, but it's neat. It's very neat because they each have a very applicable reason to be chosen.
Yes, and exactly as we were saying, they make the whole roster building and the sub faction choosing choice suddenly a lot more intricate, which is pretty cool.
Hmm.
And it does mean you will have to make sacrifices. Maybe you want to take that lightning claw because it is such a points efficient weapon. It's really good. But you also want to take the relic blade, and then inherently, if you're taking a relic blade, you don't need the Blood Angel's talent of +1 to wound because you're probably doubling people out anyway. Blah
Hmm.
blah 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 blah. we'll go into that another time when we're actually looking at the stats instead of the subfactions. So we also have Imperial Fists, Imperial Fist Siege Masters. Models in your kill team do not suffer the penalty to injury rolls for the target of their attacks being obscured and within 1 inch of a model or piece of terrain that is between the two models.
It's very potent. It's very potent.
Yes. Yes.
I feel like
However,
this is
to
good for
clarify for everyone quickly, it's not that you are ignoring the -1 to hit them. It's only in the injury roll.
yes.
So that is obviously a very different thing.
Yeah.
What
When I first looked at this, I felt like this is probably a really good early game because a lot of the time when you're shooting, you'll hit them, you'll wound them, but you can only kill them on a 5 or a 6 because they're obscured and within 1 inch of a friendly model or a piece of terrain. And if you can pop off 1 or 2 models in the first round or round 2, that's really important because now your opponent just doesn't have resources to sit on objectives, or you can try and snipe out specific things that your secondary objectives want you to kill, like if you're trying to target specialists or things like that. But I feel like late game it's probably not as good because everyone is so much closer that it's like it's relevant, but you're probably not as relevant as like early game, like turn 1. You're like, all right, I'm gonna go for this long range snipe and try and pick them off, and if I get it, you go from a 33% chance of taking them off the table to a 50% because you're on a 4, 5, or 6 now, and it's relevant. It's risky, but it's still relevant.
Yeah, I think you're right. If again with this particular subfaction tactic, you're probably wanting to take you're taking this because you're taking snipers, because you're taking anything with long distance that you're shooting, you're definitely shooting turn 1. Although so the thing is, if I was against somebody then they picked Imperial Fist, I'd be like, oh great, good, because I'm not really that scared of it.
Yeah.
Um, because I think, well, I'll just hide behind terrain for the first turn. I mean, obviously it
Yeah,
depends on the board, but
you can probably outplay this better than some of the other ones, which is probably the risk and reward of it. It's really good, but it's also easily countered by just don't pop your head out.
indeed. Iron Hands get the flesh is weak. Roll a dice each time a model in your kill team loses a wound. On a 6, the damage is ignored and the model does not lose a wound. If the model already has a similar effect, um, choose which effect applies and reroll ones. So, yeah,
Disgustingly resilient, but worse. Not bad.
yeah. So there are a few models that have this, and I have a rule on my channel, which is if your plan is to roll 6s, you don't have a plan. So I'm not a fan. Of course, when somebody then takes this and rolls 6s against me, I get very annoyed. But whatever. There's nothing you can do about that, is there?
Yeah.
Unless you have anything else to say, I'll go straight on because I don't really rate that one. I've got to be honest.
I mean, for me, it's an extra die roll. It's an extra save. You get an armor or an invuln, and then this. An extra save is an extra save, even though it's terrible. You never know.
Sure. I mean, if I didn't have access to 8 other possibilities, I'd love it.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
Yeah.
So, Ultramarines gets Codex Discipline. Add 1 to the leadership characteristic of all models in your kill team. In addition, models in your kill team can still shoot in a battle round in which they retreated or fell back, but if they do so, a 6 is always required for a successful hit roll, irrespective of the fire model's ballistic skill or any modifiers. So kind of addressing the second part of that, much as I said with Iron Hands there, if I'm having to roll 6s, I don't really, you can't count on it. There's no point taking it as a competitive choice. And then +1 to the leadership characteristic. Marines can already reroll nerve tests, so I'm not that fussed. Similar to the Dark Angel's Grim Resolve, it's kind of, yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing that happens. There's not much to say about it.
Yeah. I feel like Ultramarines could have had something a bit niftier. I don't know.
It's one of those like it's cool-ish, but Mm, yeah, I agree. They could have done something a little more interesting there, I think.
Perhaps if the fullback you'd been at -1 to hit, then it would have been something to consider seriously. But at
That's not
sixes,
bad.
that's I I rate that on the same level as Iron Hands. Lower than Iron Hands, actually, sorry.
I
I'd
was gonna
rather
say I'd
take
rather have
Iron
the Iron
Hands. I'd
Hand.
rather have Iron Hands, definitely. Okay, then we have Salamanders. M
Oh, I'm so excited
Master
about this one.
Artisans. Okay, well, it's a short one, so it won't take long. You can reroll a single failed hit roll and a single failed wound roll in each phase, as long as the attack was made by a model in your kill team.
Hmm.
So, go ahead.
I think this is the best one. Someone in my Discord brought up the fact that because there's 3 phases, you could, in theory, get six rerolls. Now, of course, you're probably not going to hit all of them, but you have the movement phase, so you have Overwatch. You have the shooting phase, which is the shooting phase. And then you have the fight phase, where you might have a tactic that allows you to shoot for some reason. And getting free rerolls is basically free command points. So
Hold on.
it's
Run that by me one more time. Three
so
phases.
so
Shooting.
so you have the movement phase where you
Okay.
have Overwatch, because if your
Oh yeah,
opponent
sorry. I
if your opponent
completely forgot
charges,
that Overwatch happened in the movement
yeah.
phase. Yes.
So like say your salamander standing in the middle of the field, your opponent charges you. Cool. Roll. Didn't get a 6. Get a free fail to hit roll. Boom, got a 6. I roll to wound you. Didn't wound you. Roll it again. I wound you. All right, then we go to the shooting phase. Oh, I didn't hit you. All right, let's do it again. All right, here we go. Now, it's not per model. I want to make it very clear. This is not every model gets it. It's just one. But still, like, you would normally spend a command point for those rerolls. The salamanders are just like, "Ah!" They get rerolls for free. It's
Yeah. This is,
pretty nice.
in my mind, hands down the best tactic, unless you have a very specific thing you're going to do. This is effectively 12 free command points. Isn't it? I mean, how
It's a
could
lot.
that's ridiculous. That's even on a bad game where you don't engage in the first turn, it's still 9 free command points. That's crazy.
It's
It's
value.
crazy.
It's so much
Like,
value.
yeah, I almost want to say it's the default choice.
I don't know if there's any, like, from a purely competitive standpoint. I don't know if there's anything that's as good. Maybe the advancing by 2 inches, just in case you run like a bunch of scouts and you run them down the field and you start pushing objectives turn 1. That's like the only thing I can think of
Sure. Yeah.
outside of this, just because you go for either board control with your movement or just like reliability with re-rolling. So
No, yeah, it's ridiculous. And I think as kind of said, unless you're doing something very niche and specific where you are saying, this is a all close combat team. It's like, well,
mhm.
okay, yeah, you probably want to go with Blood Angels or Space Wolves, and you want to really tune that list, and you aren't too fussed about the rerolls because you know that mathematically over the course of the battle, that +1 to wound will actually
Mm.
effectively be better than rerolls. But yeah, no, so I think we're both in agreement. That's the one. That's the one. If you don't know what you're doing, take Salamanders.
Take
Yeah,
salamanders,
yeah,
so
yeah,
good.
definitely, definitely.
Go to forgeworld.com, get your salamander pads, do it
Yes.
now.
Okay, next up we have Raven Guard Shadow Masters. Models in your kill team are considered to be obscured to enemy models that target them if they are more than 12 inches away from those models. Cool, I guess.
This is probably my favorite casual ability,
Okay, interesting.
because it's so simple. Hi, I'm 12 and a half inches away, -1 to hit. Darn, so easy. It's very simple, but it's very powerful. It's very useful.
Um, okay, fair enough. I think it's very thematic for the Raven Guard.
Yeah.
I also think I'm trying to think how often an enemy has ever had an unobscured shot on me over 12 inches normally.
Well, that's why I say
Well,
casual. It forgives people who are newer to the game, who may not be as adept in keeping their models obscured. So if they make a mistake and they just didn't obscure their model, this can kind of protect them if their opponent is more than 12 inches away.
I say let the weak die. Screw 'em. But sure, whatever. Cultural
But
difference, it's fine.
it's also very thematic. I like the fact
No,
that
yeah.
this chapter got the Shadow Masters. It's like, oh, because everyone's got those, cloaks painted with camo. It's like, that's
Yeah.
so cool.
To be honest, I would have, if this had been something more like everyone gets a chameleon cloak, so everyone is an
Oh,
extra, then this would have been on the radar for me. As it is, it's, I mean, it's not 9 CP worth of rerolls. So,
no.
and then we finish up with Black Templars and Righteous Zeal. You can reroll charge rolls for models in your kill team. Cool.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I so
It's
obviously
not
it's a
the
close combat thing,
worst.
but it's going up against then both Blood Angels and Space Wolves and realistically White Scars because those are all close combat as well. It's good, but it's not something I take in competition with those guys.
Yeah, it's thematic because that's what Black Templars do, but I don't. It's tricky because competitively, there are times you really, 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 really need to be in combat, and you don't care about the +1 to wound or +1 to hit. You just want to tarp hit somebody. So I guess it depends on the meta. Like if people start going to more elite lists with less models, Black Templars could become popular because sometimes a commander will put 2 or 3 of their models behind a wall, and if you run one of your models in and lock them out for a turn, that's worth it.
Sure.
So that free reroll is valuable. You don't care about killing them, you just care about locking out 40-50% of their list from playing the game for a turn. So I don't hate it, but I don't know where it stands competitively.
Fair enough. Let's power through because it's been
Yeah.
40 minutes and we've done one faction.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I want to say real quickly, a lot of the
Yeah.
things we just talked about apply to everything else. So this should be easy because we can go, oh, this is, Salamanders, this is Blood Angels or whatever. Because there's a lot of like, oh, hey, you get the exact same thing. So we already talked about that.
Yes. Okay. So regimental doctrines are what the Militarum. They're not called Militarum Tempestus. What are they called? Astra Militarum.
Yeah.
So the way this works very quickly, there's a slight differences. So obviously you can take normal guardsmen, or you can take your Militarum Tempestus, your stormtrooper guys, your scions, or you can now take also the advisors and auxilia, who are the Bulgrins and Ogrins. Um, Stormtroopers are the ones that this matters for the most. They cannot take any of the regimental doctrines. However, they do get their own stormtrooper ability, but you only get that if your kill team is only stormtroopers. Okay, with that said, let's power into it. Cadian get Born Soldiers. Reroll unmodified hit rolls of 1 in the shooting phase for models in your kill team if they have not moved in this battle round. If a model in your kill team is issued to the Take Aim order and it has not moved in this battle round, reroll all failed hit rolls for that model until the end of the phase instead.
Dark Angels, same problem.
Indeed. Indeed. Dark Angels with a little twist for the whole orders, which is cool, I guess. But exactly the same as we said last time. You need to move. Yeah. Katakan or Katachan, how do you say it?
I say Kadashan.
So do I, but like a
If the
decade
H
ago.
wasn't there.
Oh yeah, sure. But like a decade ago, I heard somebody say, "Oh, it's pronounced Katakan." Actually, um, I,
Really?
they weren't in any position of authority, so don't believe it. But ever since then, I've naturally said Katakan, but it is Katachan. Anyway, they get brutal strength. Add 1 to the strength characteristic of models in your kill team. In addition, add 1 to the leadership characteristic of models in your kill team if they are within 6 inches of a friendly Katachan officer.
But
Yeah.
their weapon skill is so bad.
Yeah, when I first read this, I had the idea of okay, well, you could give I mean, every guardsman is effectively a marine in combat. That's
Yeah,
interesting. But
it's
then you
cool.
remember that marines suck in combat, because you can't count on a single roll. So that kind of brought me to my senses, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Oh, hi,
Oh,
cat. Come on.
hello. Uh, yeah. Did you have any thoughts on that, really? No.
I initially was like, oh my god, strength, and I was like, wait. That'd be like saying, hey, your Tau guy gets a +1 strength, and we all know where that's going. Like, no,
Yeah, okay,
no,
fair
no.
point. Fair point. It is the same, I believe, isn't it? Yeah, okay. Yeah.
It's very deceptive because you get excited and you're like, what? Eh.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, Valhallan get Grim Demeanor. When you take a nerve test for a model in your kill team, roll a d3 instead of a d6.
I don't know how I feel about this. Like,
Okay.
if you're taking a nerve test, you've got a flesh wound.
Yeah,
And if you have a flesh wound, you're already a guardsman, and your stats aren't so great. So, like, again,
sure.
it was like, yes, I get to a D3 on a flesh wound. Now I'm sixes and five. So, like, I'm I'm indifferent.
Okay. So,
I'm
I mean,
indifferent.
yeah, I think the ability itself is really cool,
Yeah.
but you're very correct in that if you're having to take a nerve test, you may as well just lose them, to be honest. Yeah.
I mean, they won't like panic and get shaken as often.
Sure.
Um, I this is not the best one. I think the best one is this next one coming up.
Okay. Vostroyan get heirloom weapons. Models in your kill team do not suffer the penalty to hit rolls for their attacks that target enemy models at long range. Why do you think that's the best one?
It just completely ignores the turn one problems you have. Like you generally, because you're IG, you have someone turn one who's obscured and long range, and you're fishing for sixes. If you move forward or you have comms or something of that nature, this can really help push your plasma spam. If you're running any kind of long range weaponry, like you can start pushing fives or even fours. Turn one, which is relevant because if your opponent just doesn't protect their models or they open themselves up and they give you a clean shot, that can matter. And like a lot of people sometimes get lazy because they think turn one, oh, I'm long range, so I don't, I'll probably be obscured, and they may or may not care about obscurity because they're like, well, there's no way they'll hit me. And if you do something stupid and your guy isn't obscured and they're long range, you ignore both of those essentially because there's nothing protecting them and you have no long range penalty. And you go, cool, I'm just going to shoot you at a flat, printed value. And they go, oh, whoop, I done goofed.
Yeah, fair. I think it is pretty cool. I've got to agree. However, obviously irrelevant for arena,
Mm-hmm.
and it should be, unless you have a specific game plan, again with a long range weapon, perhaps. It's only going to be used tops for 2 turns, whereas
Yeah.
other abilities will obviously be able to be used throughout the game. So something to consider with game plan in mind, I
Yeah.
would say. Then we go to Armageddon Industrial Efficiency. Models in your kill team firing rapid fire weapons double the number of attacks they make if all of their targets are within 18 inches instead of half the weapon's range characteristic.
Good.
So taking a standard las gun, just to make an example, you normally get to fire 2 shots at 12 inches. This way you get to fire it at 18 instead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, um,
It's good.
that's
It's
good.
very good.
Yeah, I like that.
It's like middle, I feel.
Okay, I think it definitely has legs. Um,
Oh yeah.
but anyway, uh, the Talon get swift as the wind. Models in your kill team can shoot in the shooting phase even if they advance in the same battle round, with the exception of heavy weapons. In addition, these models do not suffer the penalty to their hit rolls for shooting assault weapons during a battle round in which they advanced.
Yeah, this is basically like everyone gets to be the free heavy specialty or specialism, which I think this is also very good, like really good.
If I'm honest, I think I rate this above Vostroyan.
That's fair. I could see
Yeah.
that.
Again, I think the ability to shoot a rapid fire weapon, which most of your guns are typically, um, uh, uh, let's take plasma guard spam as suddenly you can still fire turn one, even though and get on objectives potentially.
Yeah.
So
However, at that point, you're generally fishing for sixes because you have the -1 because you advance. And if your
true,
opponent
yes,
is smart, they're going to be obscured and they're going to be long distance. Like, I don't disagree. This is really good. That was just my only problem with it was you're pretty much heavily invested in rapid fire weapons because you're going to
yes,
take plasma and cheap guardsmen to just capture points. So the assault part isn't as relevant because it's mostly double tap guns. But it's
true.
still good. I mean,
Yeah,
shooting a gun is better than not shooting a gun.
I agree. I agree. Yeah. We then come to, because it's done in alphabetical order, which is bizarre, Militarum
Hmm.
Tempestus, Stormtroopers. So this is the one where to use you have to take a full Scion kill team.
Which I don't think is good. Just say that right now.
As somebody that has been tabled by a full Scion kill team, they're fine, in my
Really?
opinion. Hot shot las guns are powerful. I was Grey Knights. I only had 5 models.
Oh,
I
okay.
got wrecked. Uh, it was in arena. I don't know if that changed anything, but yeah, I got pretty destroyed. Yeah.
That's relevant. That's very
Yeah.
relevant.
Um.
I'm of the belief that taking a lot of cheap models is a strong way to play right now.
Oh yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%. We will
So,
definitely talk about hordes versus elites when it comes
oh,
to the actual units when we are looking at points values.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um. So the stormtroopers get. If a model in your kill team targets an enemy model that is within range and not at long range when making a shooting attack, it can make an extra shot with the same weapon at the same target for each unmodified hit roll of 6.
It's a win more. Lucky. Yeah.
You need sixes. You
Yeah,
need
I don't.
sixes.
I don't love it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame. I feel like stormtroopers, your elites, they should have had something quite spicy, but this is soupy bread. I don't know. Mordian Parade Drill. If the base of a model in your kill team is touching the base of at least 2 other friendly Mordian models, add 1 to that model's leadership characteristic, and when that model fires Overwatch, they successfully hit on a roll of a 5 or a 6.
Mm. My problem with this is you're sticking 3 models together that your opponent can just charge and lock out. I mean, like, yes, you get 5s and 6s. I don't know. Most smart players are going to charge from behind a wall. You can't see them, so it kind of nullifies this because you're like, I can fire 5s and 6s. Yeah, but you can't see me, so it doesn't matter. And now 3 of your models are locked in combat with 1 of theirs, and you're like, that sucks.
Yeah, I think I don't know, it's okay. It's okay. I'm not against it because anything that improves Overwatch, I'm generally a fan of.
That's fair.
But yeah, don't know. I feel that there are better ones. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Which takes us to Forge World Dogma. This is
Oh, yeah.
The
I was
Adeptus
gonna say
Mechanicus. Yes, sorry.
the Forge World Legion traits. I don't play, so I don't know anything about these. I have no opinion whatsoever.
Great. Basically the same here. But let's power through. Okay. So, first we have Mars, Glory to the Omnissiah. Each time you randomly determine which canticle of the Omnissiah, see the Kill Team Core Manual, is being canted, roll 2 dice instead of 1. Models in your kill team receive the benefit of both results instead of just the result of the first dice. If a duplicate is rolled, no additional canticle is canted this turn. This is basically the default take if you don't want to think about what you're doing. It allows you to get 2 canticles instead of 1, and the way it's worded, you can with canticles, you have the option to randomly roll every turn or choose, but you can alternate which you do. So if you know you want, for example, -1 to obscurity on the first turn, or whatever it's called, um, or -1 for the enemies. You can pick that first turn, but then roll randomly for the rest of the game. This just lets you get 2 canticles instead of 1. It's really good. Yeah.
Okay.
Then we get Grya, Refusal to Yield. Roll a dice each time a model in your kill team is reduced to 0 wounds. On a roll of a 6, they are restored to 1 wound remaining. In addition, models in your kill team pass nerve tests on an unmodified roll of 6, as well as an unmodified roll of 1. However, models in your kill team cannot retreat or fall back unless there is a commander for your kill team on the battlefield.
Ooh.
So you get a little bit of feel no pain there, kind of. Well, disgustingly
Wow.
resilient, sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
And you are twice as likely to pass a nerve test. It's not bad. It's not bad. I think, why not?
This isn't bad.
Yeah. Then we get Metallica. Yes, that is literally. Sorry, there's only one L, so maybe it's Metalisa.
We'll call it
I think it's
Metallica. It's cooler than
Metallica.
that.
Relentless March. Models in your kill team can shoot rapid-fire weapons as if they were assault weapons in the shooting phase of a battle round in which they advanced. E.g.,
Ooh.
a rapid-fire 1 weapon would be used as if it were an assault 1 weapon. In
Which
addition,
DIG got that one?
yes. In addition, these models do not suffer the penalty to their hit rolls for shooting assault weapons during a battle round in which they advanced.
Yeah, wish IG got that one. That's better.
That is really good. Yeah.
That's straight up
Yeah,
better.
yeah. And
Okay.
I think that does fundamentally change the way Adeptus Mechanicus would build their lists, because there is a gun you can take which is 18 inches, assault 3, whereas comparatively for the same points you can get a 24-inch rapid fire 1. Suddenly, you might be but one's a strength 4, one's a strength 3. Suddenly you might be going, well, I don't need the assault weapon now. Definitely
And you
something
still
to
get the
consider.
double tap.
I don't think so, no. So it says here, if it's a
Oh,
rapid fire, yeah, it becomes an assault 1. So
it becomes an assault weapon. Okay,
yeah.
You're right. I was like, man, that's so good. Too good.
Oh yeah, no, that would be, yeah. Then we have Lucius, the Solar Blessing. When making save throws for enemy models in your kill team, treat enemy attacks with an AP characteristic of -1 as having an AP of 0 instead.
Okay.
Fine.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I guess. Agrippina, Staunch Defenders. When a model in your kill team fires Overwatch, they successfully hit on a roll of a 5 or 6.
That's good.
Cool.
Sounds good.
I
Tal
suppose.
want this one.
Tal get their own. Yeah. Styges 8. That's probably not pronounced Styges. Shroud Protocols. Models in your kill team are considered to be obscured to enemy models that target them if they are more than 12 inches away from those models.
Raven Guard.
Yeah, literally the same. I have no further thoughts on it to what I said in Raven Guard.
Yeah.
Riser, red in cog and claw. You can re-roll wound rolls of 1 in the fight phase for attacks made by models in your kill team. Similar to Blood Angels, except it's just all the time. You don't have to have charged.
That's nice.
It's pretty good. I think that might be a go-to if you're running a close combat team, which you can with them. So yeah, cool. We then go to Legion traits for Chaos. Heretic Astartes. So Chaos Cultists, who of course make up the backbone of any, up until now, Heretic Astartes list, do not get any of these. This is Marines only. So, first up is Emperor's Children with Flawless Perfection. Only models with the Slanesh keyword can be drawn from this legion. If a model in your kill team is within 1 inch of an enemy model at the beginning of the fight phase, the model in your kill team is considered to have charged.
Wow. So you're just always going first.
Yes.
That's nice.
That is correct.
That's nice.
Yes. Pretty good, I think. Also, of course, if you have a Zealot, you're always getting the +1 to charge an attack. Pretty cool.
That's gross.
Pretty cool.
Oh, I like that a lot.
Although, as I was corrected when I first read this on the GW preview site.
Hmm.
I had originally thought that it meant that you always counted as having charged, so therefore you could never fire a pistol, because if you charge, you cannot fire a pistol. However, that's not the case because this only takes effect in the fight phase.
Yeah.
Minor correction there.
Which is pretty nasty that you can shoot with a pistol and you go
Fight phase,
first in
yeah,
the fight.
yeah. It's a good one. I don't know if it's an auto take.
It's fair.
But yeah. Iron Warriors, Siege Lords. Models in your kill team do not suffer the penalty to injury rolls for the target of their attacks being obscured and within 1 inch of a model. It's the same as Imperial Fists. I
Yeah.
have nothing else to say. Night Lords get Terror Tactics. When an opponent takes a nerve test for a model from their kill team, they must add 1 to the test for each of your models, other than Shaker models, that is within 3 inches of that model.
So it's a win more?
Yes.
Eh.
When I had originally read this, I thought could be really cool, but that's because I wasn't thinking that, or because I was thinking you could Chaos Cultist spam this, and they would
Uh,
also fail nerve tests. But obviously that's not the case.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess. World Eaters get Butcher's Nails. Only models with the Corn keyword can be drawn from this legion. You can make 1 additional attack in the fight phase with a model in your kill team if it was charged, or made a pilot move with a tactic we're not going to talk about.
Okay. Seems good.
Yeah, yeah. If you charge, you get an extra attack. Cool. I Yeah, yeah. I don't really know how to quantify that at the moment. It's objectively good, but is it as good as other things?
If you
Yeah.
have the right weapon to kill things, probably. Otherwise, if you're just a generic guy, probably not.
Sure. So with this one, you'd probably want to be taking your big weapons,
Yeah.
your weapons that are at -1 to hit because they're so powerful, they're killing things. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cool. Black Legion get Black Crusaders. Add 1 to the leadership characteristic of models in your kill team. In addition, models in your kill team can shoot rapid fire weapons as if they were assault weapons in the shooting phase of a battle round in which they advanced.
Okay. We've seen better.
Yeah, I mean, exactly the same. I like that rapid fire weapons can become assault weapons. That is objectively good. Means you are more maneuverable. Cool. Word Bearers, Profane Zeal. You can reroll failed nerve tests for models in your kill team.
It's a free Vox caster.
So actually, I'm gonna throw this out there. Oh no, sorry. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, this is. I was gonna say. I was thinking that all Marines can reroll nerve tests. Chaos can't, can they?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay. Just making sure because you can't reroll a reroll. So this would have been objectively the worst thing. But yeah, it's a thing. Fine, I guess.
I mean, if you
Um,
think about it, like Imperial Guard players pay 5 points for a guardsman, and what's a Vox caster? 1 point.
a
So
Voxcaster isn't that 5? I think a
I don't.
Voxcaster is expensive.
It could be. Let me pull it up here. Anyways, like the point I'm trying to get is like Imperial
Yeah,
Guards
you can
players,
buy this. Yeah.
they generally always do, and you can
Yes.
take it for free. I'm not saying it's like amazingly OP, but like it's
Um,
a free thing people pay for.
I guess. But I think it's different with Imperial Guard. You need to be able to reroll nerve tests. Um, I think if you're rerolling nerve tests on your Chaos Marines, something's probably gone slightly wrong.
Yeah, Vox caster's 5 points. So
Hmm. So then we go
you
to
know,
Alpha Legion, hidden in plain sight. Models in your kill team are considered to be obscure to enemy models that are targeted.
Raven.
Raven Guard and Styges 8. Um, Nothing else to say. Renegade chapters, Dark Raiders. You can reroll charge rolls, same as Black Templars.
Black
Um,
Templars.
cool.
All right.
Well, quickly though, which was your favorite pick there? Did you have a default?
I really like that Emperor's Children after you said
Oh, really?
Zealot because
Okay.
I forgot about that. Like +1 strength, +1 attack. You're always going first, and you can shoot pistols. Like, okay, that seems good. Now,
Yeah,
I don't play Chaos, so I don't know if Slaanesh is melee oriented. But for a melee oriented team, that's like, hey, you go first all the time. Seems good.
I think that's a fair point. Fair point. Going first is good. World Eaters, of course, giving you the +1 attack, and I think the reason that's a goer is because of the new Chaos Berserker, Khorne Berserkers, who can fight twice on the turn they charge.
Oh, I did not know
Yeah.
that.
Well, you're effectively fighting twice, so you're actually getting +2 attacks effectively if you take World Eaters. That's
It's really
interesting.
good.
Yeah,
That's pretty good.
yeah. So I'd probably lean towards World Eaters purely for that single model, if I'm honest.
That's it's pretty scary too.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't play them, so I don't know. But yeah, if I could fight twice and I get +1 every time I attack, ooh, that adds up real quick.
Mm, mm.
I assume that model has like really good stats too, like high strength, high toughness, good number of attacks and weapons.
I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out later when I read it in the book. I haven't checked. Then we go to Craftworld Attributes. These are obviously for the Azerani. Ulthway, Foresight of the Damned. Roll a dice each time a model in your kill team loses a wound. On a 6th, the damage is ignored and the model does not lose a wound. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, cool. That is the same as Iron Hands. Right? Yep.
Yep.
Syme Han, Wild Host. You can reroll charge rolls. Okay.
All right.
Cool. Alloy Tok, Fieldcraft. Models in your kill team are considered to be obscured to enemy models that target them if they're more than 12 inches away. Cool. Covered that already. Bealtan, Swordwind. Add 1 to the leadership characteristic of Aspect Warriors. So not everything, just Aspect Warriors in your kill team. In addition, you can reroll hit rolls of 1 for Shuriken weapons used by models in your kill team. A Shuriken weapon is any weapon profile whose name includes the word Shuriken. The range profile of a Scorpion's Claw is also a Shuriken weapon. So +1 to leadership and reroll 1s for most weapons.
Okay.
Alright. And finally, Iandan, Stoic Endurance. When you take a nerve test, roll a d3 instead of a d6.
Yeah. This was the one I felt might be the weakest of all of the subfactions because it's exactly the same as everyone else's minus the Bealtan with the shuriken weapons. I don't know which one's the best one because they're so generic. It's tough.
Yeah, none of these are particularly interesting, which is a bit sad to say, but there's a lot of copy paste for the Eldar here, which is a bit sad, I think.
And they only have 5. Like, why?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. I guess because nobody likes them.
Oh,
No. Uh, you know what? I'm gonna be honest. I haven't looked at this page before. I don't know if I really have a favourite there. Because although it's great to say that, oh, this is the same as Iron Hands or this is the same as Black Templars, they obviously interact with the units differently. I'd have to actually stop and think, oh, okay, well, which one do I actually... I suppose the only thing I would say is the Alloy Tok here, Fieldcraft, which is the Night Ravens, I think, where over 12 inches you count as obscured, is inherently more valuable for you because your standard Shuriken catapult is only a 12-inch range.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously you have to be closer. So
Yeah.
I guess.
Also, they have that camo cloak thing that gives you the one to be hit. So like,
on their ranges, sure.
Yeah, so you could use that with the obscurity bonus to have a -2,
Yep.
and then if you're long range, you're -3. So that can add up real quick, and keep your models alive a lot longer.
Yes, no,
So
indeed.
it's relevant.
And of course, the Eldar are only T3 with 5-up saves, so being more durable is more useful for them than it is for a Marine.
Yeah, I agree.
Then we end up with Drukhari Obsessions.
These are
Now,
amazing.
we need to do a little bit of explaining here, because not basically Drukhari get a little bit shafted here on the fact that they are going to have to really decide what they want to take, because there
Hmm.
are three different uh, keywords, which is Cabal, Witch Cult, or Homunculus Coven. Each of these subfaction rules interacts with only one of those three things. So, for example, if you were to take in a standard list before Elites came out would be a few witches and a few um, Cabalite warriors.
Archons. Oh yeah, Cabalite Warriors. Yeah, yeah.
Uh, if you were to take that, you would not be affecting some of them. In fact, I should probably have read this before we were here. Do you happen to know if simply taking uh, a warrior in a witch faction means you then do not get the the ability?
Yeah, from what I understand, it's the same kind of thing where your Cabalite Warriors and Archons are the Cabal keyword, and then if you bring something outside of that Cabal keyword, you don't get it. So you have to keep your Adeptus Astartes all the same. It's the same kind of thing. So if you want a Drukhari Obsession, it's
Yeah,
only
okay, I see.
Cabalite Warriors and Archons, or Witches and Succubi, or Homunculi. So like you can bring in
Yeah,
what's the word? You can bring in
yeah.
models that don't have those words. So they don't gain the obsessions, but they also don't hinder you. So you could do like witches and succubi and then add like a mandrake.
Yes,
Because
the blades for hire, as they're called
yeah,
here, which do not have one of the keywords that you can interact with the Drukhari Obsession.
yeah.
However, we do need to get this right because this does change things hugely. Um, if you want to take a standard Cabalite warrior and a
Hmm.
witch, you cannot do that and still take an obsession, and that is
No,
huge for Drukhari. That's
it's very
huge.
frustrating. But when we talk on the podcast, the nice thing that Games Workshop did was the new elite models are not only fairly inexpensive for Drukhari, but most of them don't actually fall in these three keywords. So you can bring like your main army and then add in like a mandrake or a grotesque or a rack, and it doesn't actually take away your obsession. So it's one of those things that kind of sucks for people who played standard Cabalite witch lists, but your elites are actually the cheapest in the game, so you have more flexibility with your elite book options than anyone else in the game. So it's like, okay, that's fair, that's fine.
Okay, okay, fair enough. We will come to
Uh,
that. Yes, I've got to
Yeah.
admit, I have not yet. I've only seen a little bit what my Discord has been saying about it, and I haven't
Hmm.
actually looked at any of the stats myself.
I bought so much Drukhari after this.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh,
Oh yeah, I bought a ton. I was like, here it is. The Dark Eldar have returned.
I already have a Drukhari roster, so I'm ready to go. But they
All
were a
right.
mixed one, so obviously now I will have to rethink.
Yep, they got us good.
Okay, Cabal of the Black Heart, Thirst for Power. Models in your kill team treat the current battle round as being one higher than it actually is when determining what bonuses they gain from their Power from Pain ability. See the kill team core manual. Models in your kill team that do not have the Power from Pain ability instead gain the Inured to Suffering bonus. See Power from Pain. They get a 6-up save,
They
basically.
get a 6-up, disgustingly
Yeah,
resilient.
yeah. Um, yeah, that's I like it. I like it, I guess.
It's cool. It's very cool.
I think it's a good default.
Yes, it's the safe pick.
Sure, sure. Right. Cabal of the Flayed Skull, Inescapable Slayers. Models in your kill team do not suffer the penalty to hit rolls for target of their attacks being obscured or because of intervening terrain.
I think this is a big one
That's pretty good.
because 99% of the game is about being obscured, and most of the time you're shooting at someone, just because the way the game has been designed, you are obscured. And just having a flat bonus that says, "Cool, I don't care," means early game it's relevant, late game it's super relevant because people are always like, layering models behind each other and then hiding behind walls. You're like, yeah, I don't care. You're just like shooting people off the table. It's a relevant ability that's always on, and I think that rolling to hit is harder than rolling to wound. So this is something that is going to be very useful. I don't know if it's going to be like the best one, but it is very, very useful for sure.
Yeah, so the good thing about this is that you can it makes maths easier. So because this is a Cabal one, so you're going to be using your warriors. So you're obviously, if you're using it, you're intending to shoot a hell of a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
you probably have a poisoned weapon, which means all poison weapons in general wound on a 4 plus.
Mm-hmm.
Great. That means you have a 50-50 to wound.
Mm-hmm.
This, you're already hitting on a 3 plus because you have good ballistic skill. They're probably going to be obscured in long range. Suddenly, they're only obscured, which means you're hitting on a 4.
Mm-hmm.
So that, just maths wise, it means you have to make two 50-50 rolls. That's good, I guess.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it very much.
Cabal of the Poisoned Tongue, the Serpent's Kiss. Reroll wound rolls of 1 for melee weapons and poisoned weapons used by models in your kill team. For the purposes of this obsession, a poisoned weapon is any weapon that wounds on a particular roll, e.g. on a 4 plus.
Not bad.
Unless there's an elite I've forgotten about. You don't really want your warriors to ever be in combat, do you? This is
No.
terrible. Hold on. Is there an elite that's been added?
Well, you have Archons. That could be relevant.
Okay, yeah, that's true. That's true. I'll give you that one.
I don't think this is a very good one.
I'm genuinely blanking. Rax, they don't have it. Incubus. Oh, Incubus.
Mm-hmm.
No, they're hired blades.
They don't get this.
They
The
don't care.
Incubuses or the
Oh,
Incubi
okay.
are
This
bonus.
is useless. I would never take this one. There you go. I'm happy to say that.
There we
you
go.
Cabal of the Obsidian Rose, flawless workmanship. Models in your kill team do not suffer the penalty to hit rolls for their attacks that target enemy models at long range.
Seems good.
Yep. Okay. Cool.
This one I feel falls off compared to Obscured because once you're in like turn 2
Yeah.
or turn 3, you shouldn't be long range anymore.
No.
You're just obscured.
I agree. I think the first two Cabals there were better than the second two. Yeah. Then we get Cult of Strife. So Cult is obviously your witches here.
Mm-hmm.
The Spectacle O Murder. You can make one additional attack in the fight phase with the model in your kill team if it was charged, or made a pile-in move with a heroic intervention commander tactic we're not going to talk about. Extra attack. That's
Okay,
cool.
sure.
I like it.
That's good.
I like it. Yeah. I don't really have much more to say about that.
Yeah, straightforward.
Yeah. Cult of the Cursed Blade. Only the strong will thrive. Increase the strength characteristic of models from in your kill team by 1. In addition, when you take a nerve test from a model in your kill team, subtract 1 from the result. I like this.
This is one of the few times it's relevant, even though your models are squishy like guardsmen. They're meant to be like witches and succubi are meant to be in combat, like fist to fist. So getting that +1 is much better than a guardsman because guardsmen are shooting, witches are stabbing.
Yes. The big issue with witches and why they're so ineffective is because they're only strength 3. So if you're against Marines, you're needing 5s to hit.
Now you're 4, so you're 50%.
Yeah, this is really good. If you're going witches, yes.
Yeah, going from 33% chance to hit to 55% chance, that is a nice, very, very nice shift upwards in your chance to really hurt people. Especially when you're swinging in with, on average, 3 attacks, sometimes 4.
Yeah, I think they're base 3. Yeah.
Yeah, it's spicy.
Yes, very nice. I think that's the take for witches. Yeah. However, you also have the choice of Cult of the Red Grief, Speed of the Kill, reroll charge rolls in your. Yeah. It's nice, but it's not +1 strength.
The +1 strength fixes the problem that the witches always had, and that's they need 5s to do anything,
Definitely.
which is bad.
And of course, if you actually manage to roll +1 strength on your combat drugs as well, you're just strength 5. That's just a win.
Feels
That's just a
feels
win for
good.
you. Yeah.
Feels good.
Then we go to the prophets of pain, connoisseurs of. Oh, sorry. The prophets of flesh, connoisseurs of pain.
Mhm.
Models in your kill team with the insensible to pain ability have an invul save of 4 up rather than 5 up. So those are racks and grotesques or grotesques blades for hire. It's definitely racks though, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought it was racks, but they don't have a keyword. This one confused me. I didn't pay much attention to it.
What keyword do you need? I've with the insensible to pain. Yeah, no.
I'm this.
So racks have that and grotesques. Yep.
Yeah, but those are blades for hire.
Grotesques are homunculus coven, homunculus coven. No, they're not, are they? No,
Are they homunculi?
they're both homunculus covens. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Never mind. There
It's
we
only
go.
the mandrake and the incubus that are blades for hire.
Okay, those are some sexy models.
They are. They
They're
are.
very beautiful.
So yeah, so both grotesques and racks
Okay.
will get a 4 up save instead of a 5 up. That's pretty nice, I guess.
Not my favorite
I
one
guess.
in here.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. In which case, the Dark Creed, Distillers of Fear. When an opponent takes a nerve test for a model from their kill team, they must add 1 to the test for each of your models. So this is the same as Night Lords.
Yeah, you win more. Cool.
Although more valid because racks, you can have more of them on the board than
That's
you
true.
can Marines. But yeah, is my official answer to that one, I think. Much like it was with Night Lords.
Yeah, I agree.
Coven of 12, Butchers of Flesh. Improve the AP characteristic of all melee weapons used by a model in your kill team by 1. For example, an AP of 0 becomes AP minus 1, AP of minus 1 becomes AP minus 2. That's nice.
I like this one a lot.
I think that's dependent on who you're fighting against, but an AP of minus 1 is always good, I think. I mean, that's nice.
This can make witches real scary. Oh no, it's a coven.
Yeah.
No, so it's homunculi.
Right?
Dang it.
Yeah.
Never mind
This is racks only. Well, and grotesques, sorry. Racks are grotesques. How do we feel about that?
I really like that curse of the cult of the cursed blade, that +1 strength for witches. That one really you also get that nerve test bonus, which is just icing on the cake, but
yeah,
like you said, if you get the +1 from your combat drugs and the +1 from your obsession, like that is a scary witch model. Like I'm running around with a strength 5. Oh, well, we need to kill you real quick. Like
yeah. I think from my, a very brief read of this, each of the sub factions, their Cabal, Witch Cult, Homunculus Coven, has a clear winner. I feel.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah. Cool. Let's continue because we're at an hour and 20, and we're only halfway through. Okay. Mask forms for the homunculus. Now, I suppose while we're here, we should mention, because they're not going to come up in the units section.
Harlequins.
What did I say?
You said homunculus.
I meant Harlequins. Yes. So Harlequins do not get any new units.
Oh well.
Which I think fine. Yeah.
These are really freaking good.
I haven't read them at all. This is fresh for me. So,
which is funny because this page was actually spoiled by the Warhammer community about 3 days before we got the media embargo.
Yes, I'm aware, which is weird that I didn't see it. There was probably a reason. I don't know why, but I didn't. So yeah, I don't know what I'm about to read. which is
Oh,
weird because I
you're gonna
have
like these.
Harlequin models. But okay,
You're
let's do
gonna
it.
be.
Let's do it.
I have Harlequins, and I'm very excited about these.
Oh yeah, I've seen people in my Discord weighing up like the pros and cons mathematically of two of the choices, and
Hmm.
and I don't know how they. I didn't pay attention because I didn't know what they were. Didn't know what they were. So okay. Midnight Sorrow, the Art of Death. Models in your kill team can move an additional d6 inches when they fall back. In addition, they can consolidate up to 6.
Movement is good.
Okay. Are you really? You're not really. If you're in a position where you are falling back, I think that's a pretty niche use. I mean, you're a Harlequin, you want to be in combat. And if you're
Right.
falling back, presumably you're making a last ditch move onto an objective.
Well, I
I
mean,
don't know.
there's. I don't think this is the best one, but for mobility, this has a lot of applications. Just because the difference between falling back and retreating, when you fall back, you get to move wherever you want
Oh
in
yes,
any
sorry.
direction you want.
Wait. Retreating is the one that you do in
Ret-
reaction to Overwatch.
yeah, so
Yes.
retreating is
Correct.
a
Okay.
3-inch
Yeah, yeah,
move, and the rule states you must be further away from the enemy model. Falling back is you just go wherever you want.
yeah.
And you move up to your printed move value. So you can move 8 inches plus D6, and you have a flip belt. So you can just go, cool, I'm over here, now I'm over there. And you're like you're across the table. So you can
Yep.
contest an objective on one end of the table and then move to another one that maybe your opponent left. Or if you have a model there in combat, you can move your second model over and now you own it instead of contest it. But like I said, it's not necessarily the most powerful, but it has a lot of practical applications. Killing something and consolidating up to 6 means you can just run right into something else potentially because flip belts. It is very dependent on rolling well and things being within the 6 inches of your consolidation and X, Y, and Z. But I like the flexibility of being able to just run around the table even more than I was previously now.
Yeah, I think there could be some really cool kind of last turn sudden the Harlequin player was just in completely different positions. It's like, oh,
Yeah, yeah,
you've won. It's like, yeah,
yeah. Your opponent goes, oh, they can't make it over to those two objectives. Oh, yes, we can. We're
yeah,
falling back.
yeah. Then we go to Veiled Path Riddlesmiths. Firstly, it's a cool name. I think we would all like to be a riddlesmith. At the start of each fight phase, roll 2 dice and discard the highest result. Until the end of the phase, each time an opponent targets a model in your kill team and makes a hit roll that, before modifiers, exactly matches your dice result, that hit roll fails. So, I think this is a really cool ability. However, practical application seems. I mean, you have to roll high on 2d6 first,
Mm-hmm.
because obviously, if you roll a 1 or a 2, generally, they don't really care. They're not hitting you anyway.
Right.
It is very cool as an idea, though.
It's risky. It's very risky. I
Mm,
think casually and funly and all the things non-competitively, this is a really interesting ability, and it's fun to play with.
mm.
Competitively, this is a high risk, high reward, and I know a lot of competitive players want to control their environments. So I would wager this is probably not going to be a first pick, but I do think it will see some competitive choice by people who just like to risk it. Because if you roll a 6 and a 6, that's really nasty, or even a 5 and a 6.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
like you could, in theory, make your opponent's life miserable if you just roll the nuts. And some people like that. That is their play style. Hey, I will take something that is risky, but if I get it and I stop my opponent and win the game, it's worth it. So it's powerful. I'll just say it like that. It has the capacity to be very, very powerful or do nothing. It's risky.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. Frozen Stars, Hysterical Fury. You can make one additional attack in the fight phase with the model in your kill team if it was charged, blah blah blah. Additional attack. I
Yep.
like it. Cool. It's simple. It kills people. Good. Soaring Spite, Serpent's Brood. Models in your kill team treat all pistol weapons they are equipped with as Assault 1 weapons during a battle round in which they advanced. In addition, these models do not suffer the penalty to their hit rolls for shooting assault weapons during a battle round in which they advanced. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I first read this, I got very excited because I mistook the rule. I thought in my head, I was thinking it would allow you to shoot your pistol on the turn you charged.
Okay. That'd be nice. That'd be
Yeah,
nice.
unfortunately, it's the battle round they advanced, not a battle round they had charged.
Yeah.
There you go. So, as it is, it's an extra d6 of movement each turn, basically, because
Yeah.
you're advancing instead of walking, I guess. Dreaming Shadow, Somber Sentinels. When you take a nerve test for a model in your kill team, subtract 1 from the result. In addition, when a model in your kill team is taken out of action, roll a d6 before removing that model. On a 4+, that model can make a shooting attack with one weapon as if it were the shooting phase, or make a single attack as if it were the fight phase. Cool.
This is a panic button. I feel like
Yeah.
if you've lost the model, it's like, okay, crap. So
Yeah. I mean, if you had... I mean, you're only 6 models normally.
yeah,
So, and then you only have a 50-50 of doing it. Yeah. Okay.
I'd rather take the other one, the veiled path that could block someone's roll.
Yeah, I'd probably say that. Yeah.
If I had
Yeah,
to
yeah.
pick between.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the Veiled Path was more fun as well.
Yeah.
And then we get Silent Shroud, Dance of Nightmares Made Flesh. Subtract 1 from the leadership characteristic of enemy models while they are within 3 inches of any models in your kill team. In addition, whenever an opponent takes a nerve test for a model that is within 3 inches of any models in your kill team, you must roll 2 dice and discard the lowest result. Okay.
Okay.
I mean, leadership modifiers are good.
Yep.
You get that first wound on them. Yeah.
What were the two things your Discord was arguing about for mathematics?
I can't remember. I want to say it must have been Veiled Path because that requires maths to work out,
Yes. Hmm.
and it must have been Dreaming Shadow as well because I don't think anything else requires rolls. Oh
Okay.
well. Oh well. They can drop a comment and say, actually, you're wrong as always, that's pretty true. So we then go over to the Necrons with their dynastic codes.
I didn't read these. I don't have them, so we're
Okay.
gonna learn them together.
Cool. So the first thing to note is that Triarch Praetorians cannot have a dynastic code. They
Okay.
do not, however, stop the rest of the team from taking it.
Cool.
So, Sotek. Relentless Advance. Models in your kill team can shoot ranged weapons as if they were assault weapons in the shooting phase in a battle round in which they advanced. Yep, so rapid
Ah,
fire to assault.
interesting though. This one specifically just says ranged weapons instead of
Oh,
a type of ranged weapon. That's new.
yes. So I
So heavy
believe
weapon.
the reason for that is because I'm gonna say something stupid, I'm sure, but you can take particle casters as pistols. Yes, so you will still be able to shoot your particle caster, which is a pistol. That is the only weapon that isn't a rapid fire weapon or an assault. So
Interesting.
that's the only one that it's deliberately including there, which
Nice.
is which is good. Which is good.
Interesting. Cool.
Yeah. So again with this one, Necrons are really slow, and having
Yeah.
rapid fire weapons, you need to advance. I think this is actually a solid pick.
Yeah, that seems good.
Then we go to Mefrit Solar Fury. If a model in your kill team targets an enemy model that is within range and not at long range when making a shooting attack, improve the AP characteristic of that weapon's attack by 1. So obviously your basic Gorse Flayer held by a standard Necron warrior is that it was already AP -1. So
Oh, really?
your basic weapon on this is going to be AP -2.
Ooh, that's
That's pretty
gross.
nice. And your immortals have a base AP of -2. It's going to AP -3. This is pretty tasty. Pretty
That's
tasty.
spicy.
You are
Ouch.
melting through Marines with 6-up armor saves. You know,
Ugh.
very nice.
Yeah, that's good.
It's
As
got
long
some
as they're
legs.
not in long range. Yeah.
Well, yeah, yeah. So, yes, you're right. So it's only when you're within 12 inches, basically, for them.
It's still really good.
Yeah. Okay. We then go to Novok, Awakened by Murder. You can reroll failed hit rolls in the fight phase for attacks made by a model in your kill team if it was charged, blah blah blah. Reroll failed hit rolls.
It's not bad.
Um,
That's a flat
yeah,
reroll instead of a valued reroll.
yep, yep. So the good thing with flayed ones is
Mm-hmm.
they naturally have flayed claws, which allows them to reroll wound rolls as well. I
Oh my
believe,
gosh.
unless I'm
That's
talking crap. Let's
that
find
is a
out.
scary thought.
So yeah, they are re-rolling both. Am I lying? No, re-roll failed wound rolls. So
Yep,
and
that's good.
and a valid list is 10 flayed ones. So under this is if you're taking that list, you take Novok. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
rerolls to hit and wound.
yeah, and you know, yeah, yeah,
And it's not one, it's all of
yep,
them.
yep.
Gross.
That is a scary tactic.
Super gross. I
Yes.
don't want to play that. Actually, I might buy 10 flayed ones.
Yeah. I'd convert them. They're not very nice models. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
then we go to Nihilak. Nihilak? Nihilak.
Yeah.
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 Aggressively territorial. Reroll unmodified hit rolls of 1 in the shooting phase for models in your kill team if they have not moved in this battle round.
Hey there, Dark Angels.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't care. That sounds boring to me.
Compared to some of these other ones,
Yeah.
yeah.
Especially compared to this next one. So, Nephrek, translocation beams. If a model in your kill team advances, you can reroll the d6 to determine the increase to that model's move characteristic. That's good,
Whoa.
but in addition, if a model in your kill team advances, it can move
Oh.
across models and terrain as if they were not there.
Oh my gosh.
So, others have pointed out we need an FAQ for how this works in Arena. Because
Oh, yeah, I see.
as you can already
Hmm.
brain for
Yep.
yourself, you are
Yep.
never allowed to measure through walls and doors for any reason. However, this doesn't say anything about measuring through them because it says it can move across models and terrain as if they were not there. But then I guess technically doors and walls are not terrain. They are just impassable parts of the board. They're
Yeah,
not terrain.
I could see that because the other problem is the
Yeah.
Gellerpox have that shift where they can literally warp anywhere.
Yes.
But the wording is different than this.
Oh
Like,
yeah, it's worded differently. Yeah.
if I were to like TO this, I think it would be very win at all costs if someone was trying to like directly like move from like this area to that area and like jump through like 3 different rooms. I think that'd be stupid. Like that is not the
Mm,
intent
mm,
of this rule.
no.
But because of the way rules is written, it could be interpreted as the terrain is not technically there. I think it's personally, I think that's kind of a stupid interpretation because like when you're on the arena terrain, they clearly mean to have these rooms and things be separate as if you were on a spaceship. And I don't think that this character thematically is like teleporting through the spaceship.
No, it is. Thematically, it
I mean,
works.
it's like yeah, it is. I'm sorry, what am I saying? It's not thematically like moving like through all of these walls and spaceship pieces. It's kind of like the way this is written is for the 3D terrain
Oh
on
yes,
cable.
yeah, 100%.
So
Yeah.
that makes way more sense. But when you're like on a flat piece of cardboard and you're like trying to maneuver that, it's like it's complex.
Yeah. If I'm honest, I think this is going to go down as you cannot move through walls and doors.
I don't think they would let you.
However,
Maybe.
thematically, it does make sense because that is how Necrons move in the fluff. Like that's what a translocation beam is.
I mean, it's kind of the same as a warp, but the problem is
Yeah.
we already have a key, we already have it written. So like since they didn't write it the same way, it seems that it's not meant to work the same way, I would assume.
Mm. Well, luckily we're not TOs.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
God.
So we will let them figure that out.
And I don't play
Yeah.
Necron, so I'm not super worried about it.
No, I might play them. I don't know. I have them, but
I
yeah.
thought about them. They have beautiful models. That what do you call them? Flayed ones thing.
Yes.
Now, do they
That's
come in a
nasty.
box? Like, can you buy them online or go to your store and buy a box of flayed ones?
Yep. So it's 5. But they're fine cast only. Yeah.
That
Yeah,
hurts.
and ordered from GW stores only, so you can't get them. Oh, yeah, direct only.
Bummer.
Yeah, I'm not gonna look forward to facing 10 flayed ones with Novok. That's for sure.
It just sounds fun, like just for kicks and giggles.
Mm, mm. Then we go to clan cultures.
Oh, this is so exciting.
So, first thing to note, Flash Gits, who of course are one of the new elite units. Right, I'm just going to read it. Can be included in an Ork kill team without preventing other models in that kill team from gaining a clan culture. However, that Flash Gits can never themselves benefit from a clan culture unless every model in that kill team, other than Gretchen, is a freebooter.
Which is such a funny clan. All of these are great.
Oh, and Grots do not get a clan culture, but they also don't stop you from getting a clan culture.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, since I mentioned freebooters first, shall we go with that one?
Oh yes, please.
Freebooters competitive streak. Add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by models in your kill team for each other model in your kill team that has taken an enemy model out of action with an attack in this phase. Okay, so it's a bit
Spicy.
it's a bit win more. You know,
Yeah.
you need to get that hit to start the chain.
Yep.
But if you can do that, and you have like
it's a spicy meatballs.
Yeah.
It's very Now, remember, orcs are garbage at shooting.
They are, yes. However, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by models in your kill team for each model. That sounds close combat too.
It works in both shooting
Yeah.
and fight, which
So,
a lot of people have overlooked because when they think
because it's
of
freebooters,
Flash Gits, yeah, they think shooty.
Yeah.
But the reality is, you can bring some Flash Gits and some boys and maybe a knob, and you shoot them on the table, and then you go into the fight phase, and then you start kill one guy, and then you have +1, and kill another guy at +2, and it stacks. Now, like you said, it's win more and it's risky, but thematically, it's so much fun.
Oh yeah, I think it's great, the idea that you just have like 6 Flash Gits just stood at the back. Yeah. I think
Or you have
it's a great one.
Your orcs like yelling at each other, I killed one over here. It's like, gets me one over here. All right, +1, +2, +3.
It's awesome. It's awesome, definitely. Well,
just goofy stuff.
It's awesome until we read the rest of them, obviously.
There is one I think is very, very, very good.
So I actually haven't read these.
Okay, this
Wait,
will be fun.
That sounds like a lie. I feel I have. I don't know. Let's find out. Maybe I have.
Okay.
So, Goths. Oh no. So I've only read the ones that Games Workshop officially teased.
Yeah. Okay.
I remember now because I did the stupid orc accent while I read them out. Yeah. So, Goths, no mucking about. Each time you make an unmodified hit roll of 6 for an attack with a melee weapon made by a model in your kill team, immediately make an additional hit roll against the same target using the same weapon. These additional hit rolls cannot generate further hit rolls. You need 6s.
Okay.
Cool. Bad moons, armed to the teeth. Reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks made by models in your kill team in the shooting phase.
Not the worst thing in the world. Not amazing.
No, I mean,
At least you don't have to stand still.
yes, very true. Very true.
It's better than Dark Angels, which is ironic.
Yeah. But so I'm always on the lookout for a way to make orcs a viable shooting team because I think that's fun. Like, I don't know why, but something inside me
Oh.
likes it, but
Just wait. There's one that,
okay.
yes.
Okay.
There's one coming.
Okay. So, evil sons, red ones go faster. Add 1 to the move characteristic of models in your kill team and add 1 to advanced and charge rolls made for them. In addition, these models do not suffer the penalty to their hit rolls for shooting assault weapons during a battle round in which they advanced. Okay.
This is another spicy meatball because
Yeah.
you now have what 7-inch flat move, and if you advance, because they're 6-inch move,
they're 5.
5. Okay,
So it goes
never
6,
mind. So you're
and then it's +1 to advance, so it's a minimum of 8.
7. Oh yeah, minimum of 8. Yeah, because you have the 1.
Yep. And you're not taking a negative to the attack. It makes you pretty fast, actually. You're a minimum of 8, and you can still shoot.
Yeah, you can run your boys down the field pretty quickly. That's
cool.
It's a nice free culture.
Definitely. Death Skulls.
Right. Here's your one you're gonna like.
Lucky Blue Gits. Models in your kill team have a 6-up invuln save, unless they already have an invuln save. In addition, you can reroll a single failed hit roll and a single failed wound roll in each phase, as long as the attack was made by them. Okay. So Salamanders plus a 6 invuln save. That's pretty nice.
I mean, like double value.
Yeah, that's nice. Okay. Although you're yeah, okay. I was gonna say the reroll is inherently less valuable with orcs because you're not hitting things.
Sure,
with shooting.
6-up save or 6
Oh, yeah.
plus.
Yes. No. That is good because of course orcs have t-shirt saves.
Have t-shirt save.
Yeah. So they're
an invulnerable t-shirt save.
Yeah. Which sadly is better than nothing.
It keeps your guys on the table a little bit longer, which I think is relevant because instead of going from you're dead, you go to I'm a little less dead. I'm feeling better.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Okay.
But you still get those free command points.
Yes. You can't argue with that, definitely.
Just value. Super value.
So, snake bites that old ways. Roll a dice each time a model in your kill team loses a wound. On a 6-up, the wound is not lost. If a model already has a similar ability, choose which effect applies, and reroll 1s when making these rolls.
Or you could just take a 6-up invulnerable save and re-roll a single fail to hit and single fail to.
Yeah, I'd probably After Death Skull, snake bites isn't doing much for me. I've got to be honest.
Yeah, when I read that in sequential order, I was like, why would I take snake bites?
Yeah.
Now this is obviously from a competitive standpoint.
Yes.
Like if
it's also per wound.
Snake bites. Yeah.
So if you nah, I'd rather. I can't really see a reason to take it. I've got to be honest. But as you say, thematically, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get Blood Axe's Tactics. Models in your kill team are considered to be obscure to enemy models that target them if they are more than 18 inches away from those models. In addition, models in your kill team can shoot even if they fell back in the same battle round. So it's weird that they made it 18 inches instead of 12, as they've done for the others.
Yeah. Because orcs are inherently worse.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
They're the orcs.
Being able to shoot even if you fall back does actually sound interesting. I've got to be honest. Because unlike the Ultramarines, where it's hitting on 6s, this is just hitting. And if you're close enough to be in combat, you can then presumably move back, stay within half range and unobscured. So actually, you might actually be hitting on something better than 6s. which is a
it's a
first for an
weird
orc.
combination of two very useful abilities. Um, I personally think Death Skulls is the best by far, but uh, this is not a bad option for fun. I think this would be
Okay.
hilarious to play for funsies.
Interesting. Okay. Okay, fair enough. I'm undecided. I'd honestly have to sit down and really think about what I want in my kill team,
Yeah,
to really figure that out.
this is the one like subfaction I think that has the most viability in terms of both casual and competitive, because the competitive options are good and the casual options are so orky that you're never looking like I don't think any of these are just like unplayable, unusable, awful. There's always something that's like, oh yeah, my goths are doing this thing over here, or my evil sons. It's like, and they're all so thematic. Like this is one of the few ones I feel Games Workshop like actually nailed on both the mechanical and the thematic side. So it's like, good job, keep doing that.
Yeah, no, I think, odd as it might sound, I think GW does get orcs. I
Oh
th
yeah, oh
like
yeah.
I think they know what's going on there. It makes it a bit annoying when I've got issues with orcs. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on. Okay.
Okay, we're almost there.
So Tau are up next with the
Yes.
Sept Tenets. With a note to Kroot. Kroot cannot take a Sept Tenet, but they also don't stop you from taking a Sept Tenet.
Right.
So first up, Tau Sept, coordinated fire arcs. When a model in your kill team uses the For the Greater Good ability, or when they fire Overwatch whilst they are within 6 inches of a friendly model, they successfully hit on a roll of a 5 or 6.
Spicy.
Yep, that's exactly what Tau want. Um,
Straightforward.
Although interestingly, it does say so because it mentions For the Greater Good first. There's an implication
Mhm.
that you have to activate Greater Good to use this, but you don't. You just have to be within 6 inches of a friendly model.
No, that's why there's the or. So when your model uses For the Greater Good,
Yeah.
or they're
Yep.
within 6 inches of a friendly, they get this. So there's two times where this is active, could potentially activated. But if you're using Greater Good, if I'm not mistaken, you have to be within 6 inches anyways.
Yes.
So
And you only get
it's
to
still
fire Overwatch once if you do that. Yeah.
right, but it's still really scary that like you could just run like a little gun drone line, and you're like, I charge one of them. All right, well, guess what? you're about to get coordinated fire arcs.
5s and 6s. Yeah. It's going to be
Yep.
painful. But okay. Violar Sept. Strike fast. Models in your kill team can shoot rapid fire weapons as if they were assault weapons in the shooting phase of a battle round in which they advanced. Blah blah blah. In addition, these models do not suffer the penalty to their hit rolls for shooting assault weapons during a battle round in which they advanced.
Yeah, I don't hate it or love it. It gets the job done.
Um, I think it's great if you want to take Fire Warriors, which currently are a unit that people aren't really taking.
No, because they
Because
fly.
people are spamming drones.
You
Yeah,
see your fire warriors like flapping their like you put a fire warrior on top of a drone. This fire warrior can fly. It's like holding on.
yeah. It's a shame though. I feel like Fire Warriors should be better, and this gives them a little bit of that, I guess.
Now I will say this. I cannot remember if breachers use rapid fire weapons. The shotgun,
They're assault.
their assault. Okay, well
Yeah,
never mind. Because
assault too.
in arena, you absolutely use those breachers because they are gross. But yeah, fire warriors are kind of like they're outclassed by the drones because the
Yeah,
drones are so flexible
and a point cheaper. Yeah,
and they fly.
yeah, yeah,
Like that's so important. Like
yeah.
the fly keyword is so good.
And an 8-inch move, and it's like,
I know.
and 4
And
shots.
they can fall back and shoot you.
Yeah,
Like they do everything. They're just
yeah, they're too good. Anyway,
yeah, they're good.
Borkan Sept. Superior craftsmanship. Models in your kill team do not suffer the penalty to hit rolls for their attacks that target enemy models at long range.
I like it.
Yeah, it's good. I don't have much more to say than that, really. Yeah, it's good. Cool.
It depends
Right.
on your list if you're doing lots
Oh,
of
yeah.
like rail rifles and fire warriors.
Yeah. Well, arguably, it's yeah. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think you want this if you're doing like drone spam because you're going to be in their face.
Yeah, you've got the movement range, despite the shorter range weapons. You've got the move to get in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Dalyth Sept, Adaptive Camouflage. If a model in your kill team does not move in the movement phase, for the remainder of the battle round, it is considered to be obscured to enemy models that target it.
This is an interesting one
Is it?
because
Okay.
there's no range distance. So if you're 2 inches away from your opponent in the middle of nowhere and you don't move, you are obscured.
Interesting.
So you like
Yeah.
the thing I like about this is like in a lot of competitive matches, you'll have a centralized objective in the middle of the map with limited
Yep.
to no protection. And with a drone spam list, you can run up, hold on to it, and then for the rest of the game, you don't move and you're just auto obscured. Like that's not
Okay.
too shabby.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad. And it does mean that you can position your sniper nest, which all Tau do have, without, because you're not going to move them.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not bad. Not bad.
You can do some really weird shenanigans where like you could just basically put some of your models out in the wide open and you have like amazing line of sight to the entire field and you're still obscured. Which like can you imagine that putting a rail rifle guy in the middle of the field and they're obscured? Like until you kill them, they're just obscured. But they can see everything and you don't want that to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
I
if you have
see.
a drone with them, you can protocols. Like it's real nasty for like protect the president or rail rifle tricks where it's like, okay, my rail rifle guy is in the front of my deployment zone. I can see 80% of the field, and then there's a drone right next to him. And then my comms guy and my recon drone have fun dealing with that. And it's like, oh crap.
Mm. Yeah. It's a bit of a boring one, but yeah, it might actually be good, is my take. Which takes us to the Sasia Sept. Calm discipline. Add one
Oh
to
boy.
the leadership characteristic of models in your kill team. In addition, you can reroll hit rolls of 1 for shooting attacks made by models in your kill team. Okay. So +1 leadership, reroll 1s.
Okay.
It's good. And certainly Tau, I find, do tend to suffer with their leadership a bit. Although I haven't played drones, so I actually don't know what their LD is, but okay.
Drones are like 6.
Are they? I want to say they're mindless
Are they
automaton
8?
AIs, and they might be 8. In which
No, they're
case,
6.
oh,
Drones
okay,
are leadership 6.
okay. So you kind of do want that, I suppose, but rerolling 1s is good, especially with the weight of fire that drones can bring. So
yeah.
Farsight Enclaves, devastating counterstrike. Reroll hit and wound rolls of 1 for shooting attacks made by models in your kill team that target an enemy model that is within 6 inches of the firing model.
Pretty sure if you're taking this, you're about to get your poop pushed in.
The thing is, right?
Yeah.
I can see it being a valid tactic for drones.
Yeah, drones.
Deliberately get to within 6, get as many as you can right there. And it's not in the shooting phase, so you could do it in Overwatch as well.
Yep.
Get charged, fall back, shoot.
Yep.
It's not bad.
I
Although
don't hate
I
it.
I think people are going Tau Sept generally. Overwatch on a 5 or a 6.
I feel like that's
Or
going to
do you have
be.
a preference?
I think adaptive camouflage and the coordinated fire arcs are the two very
Okay.
competitive ones, depending on if you're doing long range assaults or if you're doing drone spam, because that's just so like Tau Sept is so good for drone spam, and adaptive camouflages are real good if you're running rail rifle fire warriors with your pulse rifles, because you could just go, okay, cool, we're just gonna, you bring like 2 rail rifles, 3 fire warriors with your smart missile launcher, and then just a bunch of drones, and you could just set your Tau gun line right up in the front. All right, come at me, bro.
Yep, I agree. Now we're on to
Tau
the.
had some good ones. I like them.
Okay, I've got to be honest. I thought they were all a bit boring. Like they work,
Mm-hmm.
but they weren't interesting.
They're not very interesting. That's true. It's just that I think we've seen a lot of subfactions with like plenty of copy paste, and we're both of us agree it's like, yeah, okay. And Tau actually have more than like 1 or 2 potential subfaction options you would take. Because like the leadership one is good, the hit and reroll of ones is good, the coordinated fire arcs is definitely playable, adaptive camouflage is definitely playable. The superior, like all of these have a place where they could be usable, whereas some of the subfactions are like, no.
Yeah,
But
no,
yes,
I
they are
agree.
very, very uninteresting, unfortunately.
Yes, yeah, which is a real shame because I actually like Tau.
I do like Tau.
Yeah, we're bad people. Yeah. Oh well. Oh well. So
For the greater good.
we then come to High Fleet Adaptations. Um, right. So Behemoth, Hyper Aggression. Have you read these ones? Do you know? You know what's up?
I actually don't have NIDS or GSC, and I've been
Okay.
told after I haven't read these. I actually waited to read these with you. I've been told after I read these I will want to play them, so I'm very excited to see what is
Oh,
going on
okay.
here.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think Nids are probably the strongest faction, but let's find
I've
out
heard
why.
this.
Let's find out why. So
All right.
Behemoth, reroll charges.
Oh, okay, whatever.
I think that's probably the worst one.
Well, like
Especially when,
Genestealers have
yeah,
that.
I was gonna say Genestealers default. Okay, Kraken, questing tendrils. When a model in your kill team advances, roll 3d6 instead of 1 and pick the highest to add to the move characteristic of that model
Whoa.
in the movement phase. In addition, if a model in your kill team started the movement phase within 1 inch of an enemy model, but when you pick it to move there are no enemy models within 1 inch, that model can make a charge attempt instead of falling back or remaining stationary. That is like,
That's good.
so that is White Scars, but better.
But way better. Wish
Yeah,
White Scars had that one.
yeah. That 3d6 pick the highest is much better than just 2 inches. Yeah, yeah.
No,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
that.
yeah. I pick 3d6, pick the highest over
Yeah,
flat
over
2
the flat
any day.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course,
Wow.
this is Tyranids. Um,
Yeah, they
everyone wants to
move.
be in close combat.
Yeah, that's spicy. That's
Yeah.
very nasty.
This is a strong default contender, I think.
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree.
Leviathan, Synaptic Imperative. Roll a d6 each time a model in your kill team loses a wound whilst it is within 6 inches of a friendly synapse model. On a 6, the damage is ignored and the model does not lose a wound. In addition, models in your kill team that are within 6 inches of a friendly synapse model do not suffer the penalty to their hit rolls from 1 flesh wound they have
Oh,
suffered.
okay.
That's fine.
That's
That's fine,
yeah,
I guess.
6s.
Yeah. Although I've got to say, compared to Kraken, it feels like nothing.
Kraken's very impressive.
Well, we've got 4 more, so let's see what else we have. Gorgon, Adaptive Toxins. You can re-roll wound rolls of 1 in the fight phase for attacks made. Okay. Re-roll wound rolls of 1. Fine.
Okay.
Jormungandr, Tunnel Networks. Models in your kill team, other than models that can fly, are considered to be obscure to enemy models that target them. If the model advances or charges, however, it loses the benefit until the end of the battle round.
Oh, you can flat out walk?
Yeah.
Ooh.
You are always obscured. Unless you advance.
Oh.
The only thing I note
Wow.
here is that as Nids, you probably are advancing. I mean, that's
Yeah,
kind of what you do.
realistically. Yeah.
But
But
this is good.
this actually works really well with reserve rules
Yes.
because you can show up on some part of the map and you're obscured because you didn't advance or charge.
Well, wouldn't that be the same with the other ones though? Because as I understand it, you turn up at the end of the movement phase and you don't actually move, you are just placed on the table. So you don't
Right.
count as having moved.
Right. But the thing is, like, so we were going to talk about this later in
Oh,
the
okay.
podcast, but there are tactics that allow you to um pull your models out of reserve and then place them anywhere on the table within 5 inches of an enemy model instead of within
Yes.
1 inch of the battlefield edge.
Yes.
And if the Tyranids have that ability, plus they take this, then they can just be 5 inches away from you and they're obscured, whether they're behind something or not.
No, but
Now,
I'm saying that for example, the deep strike tactic, which would
yeah.
do that. Even if you had the Dalyth Sept,
Hmm.
if you do not move, you have the
Oh,
obscured.
yeah.
But
I
I'm
guess that's
saying
probably.
you haven't moved,
Oh.
right?
I'd have to look at the
You
wording,
just
but yeah,
appear on the board.
I don't think you've moved.
I'd have to read wording, but yeah, you're not moving. You're just, you know what? I have the
Yeah.
book right here. I could just read it. Uh, unless it says somewhere as like you are considered to have moved, because this
Hmm.
is very relevant. Because if you have a heavy weapon, you need to know if you're at -1.
Right.
Um, you set them up. That's not a move.
Oh,
You set
that's
them
not
up.
moving. Okay. So that's the
Yeah.
interesting thing is you can basically place yourself wherever you want. You're always considered obscured. It doesn't make your heavy weapons worse. And then if you happen to get the initiative on the next roll, then you can charge. And if you don't, you can always use decisive move to try and charge that model so they don't just get countercharged. That's very interesting. That's very scary.
Mm. Mm.
It's nice. I like
But
it.
there you go. So when you come in from reserves, you have not moved.
Wow.
So there you
So
go.
good.
Um, but anyway, Jormungandr can move
Hmm.
and still be obscured, which is
Yeah.
pretty good.
Impressive. It's very impressive.
Then we get Hydra Swarming Instincts. You can reroll hit rolls of 1 in the fight phase for attacks made by models in your kill team that target an enemy model that is within 1 inch of another model in your kill team. Rerolls of
That's
1 in close combat effectively.
I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, rerolling ones, I guess. Yeah.
Well, you're re-rolling anything.
Uh, yes, sorry. You reroll all rerolls. Okay, that's
Yeah.
significantly better than reroll ones. Yeah, correct.
And you're
That's not bad.
swarming people anyways, so
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. 100%.
that means you have a much higher chance of actually taking, well, maybe not taking things off the table, but at least getting them to roll armor saves.
Yeah.
Which is good because the more armor saves you can force, the higher chance that they're going to miss one, and then you can start putting flesh wounds or just killing.
Yep.
So yeah,
Yep.
I think this is very very scary. Of course, it has to be for a horde list. It's not going to
Oh
work
yeah.
if you're running like an elite list with few models, but
Um,
the 19
sure.
gaunts, one warrior is a thing.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's good. And then we get Kronos Bio Barrage. Reroll unmodified hit rolls of 1 in the shooting phase for models in your kill team if they have not moved in this battle round.
So Kraken, I like that one a lot.
Yeah, I think Kraken is just insane. Even if they didn't have the 3d6 pick the
Oh
highest advance, with Tyranids, a basically all melee faction, effectively,
yeah,
suddenly you can charge even if they fall back. That's really strong.
yeah, I agree.
And potentially Jormungandr, just if for some reason, if you know you're going up against an enemy whose sole tactic is to shoot you off the board before you reach them.
Yeah. I feel like
Mm.
with NIDS, you're not gonna really be able to split your command roster. I feel like you're gonna have to commit to one, just because of the way NIDS work compared to the smaller kill teams.
Yes, that's true.
I feel like it'd be really hard to mix Kraken and Drumungder, the tunnel networks, because I can say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it'd be much more difficult to say, okay, these 12 NIDs are X and these 8 NIDs are Y. But both of those are really good. I think Kraken's probably going to see the most play. That's because it's any model. You just here's 3d6.
Yeah.
Well. And because of the way you always want to be in melee contact, if someone runs away, cool, I'll just charge that guy over there.
Yeah.
Seems good.
Very good.
Seems real good.
Very good. Which brings us to the final one. Cult creeds. Genestealer cults. Right. What are we doing? Oh, so the only note here is that Genestealers do not get these.
Right.
Cool. So, Cult of the Four-Armed Emperor, Subterranean Ambushers. Add 1 to Cult ambush rolls made from your models from your kill team. So you will get a 6-inch move at the start of the game on a 4-up instead of a 5-up.
Oh, ooh.
I hope they get better than that. Let's find out. If that's their best one, I'll be annoyed.
I mean, it's cool, but yeah, I hope that.
Well,
hope they get something better.
I think it's a similar issue with other things we've mentioned before, where if you are relying on that cult ambush, on rolling a 5-up, you're going to lose the game. You know?
Yeah, that's a scary risk.
Definitely. So, yeah. The Twisted Helix, Experimental Subjects. Add 1 to the strength characteristic of models in your kill team. In addition, when a model in your kill team advances, add an additional 2 inches to the distance it can move. That's nice.
Ooh.
That makes your... that's good. So your normal combat guys are strength 4. This gives you strength 5 regular combat dudes.
And 2 inches.
Yes.
That's nice. I like that. Like that a lot.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The Rusted Claw, Nomadic Survivalists. When making saving throws for models in your kill team, treat enemy attacks with an AP characteristic of -1 as having an AP of 0.
Yeah. Okay.
I always feel like if you've got GC cults, if you take an armor save, you're probably dead anyway. So
yeah, it's not
stupid
impressive.
as it may sound. I expect my guys to die with them.
Yeah, pretty much.
The Hive Cult. Disciplined Militants. When you take a nerve test for a model in your kill team, roll a d3 instead of a d6. In addition, models in your kill team can shoot in a battle round in which they retreated or fell back, but if they do so, 6 scores.
6s. Okay. Nah.
So, yeah.
Not loving it.
No, that's not doing it.
This seems like the worst of like the 2 options. Like both of them are like, oh, you get a nerve test. Well, you don't want to take nerve tests, and you get to roll 6s.
Yeah.
You don't really want to roll.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like an oddly modified. They're kind of better than Ultramarines. But yeah. Anyway, but you're not a shooting army. You don't care about being able to shoot when you fall back.
No, you really don't. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Which
Hard
takes us...
pass.
Yeah, I think so. The Bladed Cog, cyborgized hybrids. Models in your kill team have a 6-up invuln save. Models in your kill team that already have an invuln save get a +1 to a max of +3. In addition, models in your kill team do not suffer the penalty to their hit rolls for moving and shooting heavy weapons. A 6-up invuln's okay, but you're not a shooting team, so I don't really care about the second half of that.
Yeah.
And I never expect to be able to roll 6s. So
yeah, this is probably not super.
Yeah,
super delicious. No.
which takes us to
Okay.
the final one, the Pauper Prince's Devoted Zealots. You can reroll failed hit rolls in the fight phase for attacks made by a model in your kill team if it charged, was charged, or made a violent move. With that tactic we don't talk about.
Yeah,
Reroll failed hit rolls.
it's not terrible.
So
It's not amazing.
it's good when you take into account the fact that a lot of your guys are going to be the big hitters with the rock cutters
Yeah.
and also your aberrants because they all get -1 to hit.
Yeah, failed hit rolls. Getting to reroll them is
Yeah.
relevant.
But
I really like Twisted Helix.
it's Twisted Helix, I think,
I like
100%.
that.
Nothing else there really jumped out at me. I've got to be honest.
Oh, I mean, like you get the strength modifier that'll
Yeah.
help you crush people,
Yeah,
and you get that movement bonus, which in all of these games they're
Yeah.
objective based, which means you need to get down the field quickly.
definitely.
And a big scary guy with strength 5 and a rock cutter, that's no joke.
Well, I actually view it the other way. I say that this gives you the option to not take those big hitting weapons. Get
That's
more
true.
people in the list. Go more down the metamorph hybrid line because you're getting more attacks, 3 or 4 attacks base.
Mhm.
And you'll be strength 5 now. But you're getting wounds through, you know?
Yeah. I like it. Unfortunately, another one of those sub factions where there's a clear winner and a bunch of other things that were printed on there.
Yes. Yeah, it's a shame they wasted the ink, isn't it? Yeah.
Like, I understand in developing these games that all the games out there are primarily casual players. And they're like casual players, the largest number of players for pretty much all games. The competitive players are just the ones who are out and about going to tournaments, but we're a much smaller slice of the community. So I understand that even though one of these is superior competitively, if you're a casual player, you don't care. It doesn't matter. You're playing for fun, you're playing for thematicness, you're playing for whatever reason you're playing. So, it is nice that they gave us a bunch. And even though it may not be competitively viable, it could still be fun. And that's really what games are about. And the longest of runs, the endest of days, having fun. So, I don't blame them for printing 5 ones that are not competitive, but it does make sense that some of these are just there for casual players. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think every single option has to be competitive.
No.
I think that if each faction gets 2 or 3 options that are like, oh yeah, that's a goer, that's fine.
Yeah.
As long
Yeah.
as they don't get a single one, because that's boring, you know?
Yeah.
I suppose the other ones we haven't mentioned actually are Deathwatch and Grey Knights and Thousand Suns.
Oh, yeah.
Or just because they are kind of faction tactics or sub-faction rules, aren't they? So for anyone unaware, Deathwatch, instead of having access to any of the chapter tactics for Space Marines, they instead can pick a single data sheet from an enemy. They pick it when they pick their team from the roster, and they get to reroll hit rolls of 1 against that data sheet. Grey Knights are able to make 2 psychic attacks with 2 different models.
Yep.
Which is a straight buff. Like you are doing double the mortal wounds in the psychic phase. Oh, sorry, and they are now casting Cybolt on a 4 instead of a 5, which is good as well.
That they just needed to get better at being psychic people. Why not?
Yeah, I think that's fair. And then I have them right here. Thousand
Death Guard
Suns.
got a real nice upgrade.
So I actually don't know what theirs is. I've got to be honest, but I'm there. Hold on. I will.
They're on page 75.
I'm there. So, is it Inexorable Advance? Is that their thing?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Models in your kill team do not suffer the penalty to their hit rolls for shooting heavy weapons during a battle round in which they moved, or for shooting assault weapons during a battle round in which they advanced. In addition, models in your kill team firing rapid-fire weapons double the number of attacks they made if all their targets are within 18 inches. So I did know this. I did know this. Sorry. Yeah, that's really good.
Yep.
That's really good.
It's bonkers.
That's insane.
Everyone just became an
Yep.
instant heavy specialist.
Yeah.
And they get a double tap at 18 because why not?
Well, it's a good thing that Death Guard weren't already the top tier faction.
Yeah, right.
Isn't it? I mean, that's
let's
because if they were, that would have been dangerous if they were.
Yeah.
And then Thousand Suns get a very similar one to Grey Knights in the fact that you can now fire a Cybolt with 2 of your guys.
Mhm.
However, it is objectively worse than the Grey Knights, purely because only 2 of your guys are possible to ever use it.
Mhm.
And to fit that faction subfaction tactic into a regular game, you have to take a Scarab Occult Sorcerer, who
Mhm.
is 38 points base.
Yeah, pretty rough.
Yeah, so taking that plus a regular sorcerer at like 20 points or at 19, whatever he is.
60 out of 100.
Yeah, that's painful.
That's brutal.
Because otherwise they don't get a buff from the Elites book, which is really sad.
I don't know if Games Workshop loves their Thousand Suns.
I don't think they do after reading this. Oh well. And that's it. That is all of the sub-faction rules. There you go. We are officially done with the sub-faction rules. Who do you think came out on top? Just with sub-faction rules, not thinking about units.
Oh, okay. I have to like purge information from my brain.
I know, that's a really difficult question, isn't it?
Clearly Tyranids with Kraken are
Okay.
very scary.
Yep.
I personally believe that the death skulls for the orcs are also one of the most powerful because like being able to re-roll dice is good. And you get a free 6-up because why not? Sure. So I think that for orcs is very potent. Obviously, Salamanders I think are very good. Like that, those are the only 2 factions that have the ability to re-roll in like any phase. And then I think the 4th one is probably Tau with the Overwatch. 5s and 6s is gross. And they put out so many shots with strength 4s and 5s that you're probably going to make your opponent second guess if they want to actually charge you. Because if you have like 2 or 3 drones and they have like 1 or 2 guys, they probably are going to take a hit. And that's a scary thought when your drones are shooting 4 shots at 5s and 6s. And if they have another drone next to them, they can shoot 8 shots at 5s or 6s. Like, it's going to go through. Something is going to hit. And then you have to wonder, do I want a flesh wound? What if my guy dies? How important is this charge? So it changes the dynamic of like, oh, 6s, no big deal. Now you have 5s and 6s with for the greater good on top of that. So I think Tau would be like 4th in that list of the 4 I talked about. Like the Hive Fleet Kraken is probably 1 or 2 because like charging is great, but re-rolling and getting free CP is also really good. So I feel like both of those are very, very, very viable.
Fair enough. I think Adeptus Astartes did well.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly because of Salamanders, but I just mean in general, you have a lot to choose from. Like,
yeah,
depending on
9?
what you want to do, there is a chapter tactic to pick, kind of.
Yeah.
I think Necrons have interesting ones.
Oh yeah, that teleport. Yeah.
The teleport, just generally the ability to, because you have, so obviously you've got the flayed one thing. Let's ignore that because that's ridiculously good. But also you have things that directly plug into their weaknesses. as a faction, and so that they come out naturally just a better team there. They are able to advance and shoot.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I agree.
Obviously Tyranids. Uh, yeah, Tyranids are doing brilliantly there. Yeah, and I suppose orcs. I'd actually have to sit down and really think about the orc ones. They seemed fun, so that's
Oh
obviously a
yeah.
win. Will any of them be super competitive? Not sure. I'm not sure if any of them were auto picks. I think they all had a place, which I suppose is a good thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And that's kind of the fun part about now that we've wrapped up this part, as we go the podcast episode, going and talking about the point cost and the weapons that some of these factions are getting kind of helps compact the fact that the sub factions are free. Because when we start talking about like knobs and the freebooters, they've got some really spicy stuff. And I think orcs probably have the tools they need to actually see some strong competitive play. Because at Adepticon, there were orc players who were winning pods. So they're not trashed here. They're not the bottom. And with new toys, new weapons, and these new sub factions, I think it's viable. I think they have a very viable chance to see competitive play at Nova this year. And then, like, I think LVO is the next big event in 2020.
Yeah, they've done very well in Arena. They came second
Oh,
at
yeah.
Warhammer World, and then they came second and third at Warhammer Fest, which were
Yeah.
both just straight Arena tournaments.
Yeah. And Arena is really good for orcs. They have a lot of flexible ways to maneuver and just cause a lot of chaos. And yeah, I like orcs a lot right now. I'm pretty high on orcs. I bought a whole bunch of them.
They are great models as well.
Oh, they're so good.
Well, you know what? I'm not a fan of the boys. The regular boy,
Yeah,
but everything
but like
else. I mean, the
the
mega knobs, the
oh
burners,
yeah,
the flash
commandos,
gits. Yeah,
flash gets us.
yeah, yeah. Great
They
models.
got the daka.
Awesome. So that is the end of this because I don't know about you, but I have no more stamina to go over missions. If we're gonna go and do screw the missions, I don't care. There are 125 points. You kill each other. There are objectives. There you go. Covered it
Fair
for you.
enough.
Um. So Sugi, where can we find you and your
Well,
podcast?
you can find me in Dallas, Texas. You can find the podcast on the internet at Squad Tactica. So we have a Facebook page, we have a Discord channel, and that's about it. So realistically, if you want to find us to listen, we're on all of the podcast aggregators. So Google Play, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Anchor, everywhere. So all you got to do is just look up Squad Tactica, a Warhammer Kill Team podcast, and you'll find us. And we do weekly show. So recently we've been pushing heavily into elites because that's the new hotness. But we've also been doing a lot. Normally it's just me, but we're doing a lot of guest shows. So we have special guests on, like yourself with Glass Half Dead. We did a show with Uncle Adam from Tabletop Minions. We did a show with Miniac. And we've also got a lot of guests because when I went to Adepticon, I met a lot of people. So through the summer, we're doing a lot of special guest shows. And then, a lot of meta, casual painting hobby. We cover pretty much all the aspects of Kill Team, not just competitive only, because a lot of our players multitask. Some people don't play any competitive games. So it's all about the community of Kill Team, not just a specific faction or slice of Kill Team. So that's what we're all about.
Awesome. Yeah, I know that I've followed you on the Google Play podcaster. That's how
Mm-hmm.
I listen. So I know that works. Awesome. Did you have any parting words before we go over to that?
Buy this book, support your local game store. It's $40. If you're playing this, you've got $40. It's a lot of content. Like, I know a lot of people were hesitant about the book. They're like, "Oh, it's going to change everything and ruin the game." I do not think that's the case, and um, I'm always about supporting a local game store. If you're playing at a shop, if you're bringing your models to a place, this isn't going to break the bank. Buy the book, help out your local shop, and play more games. Just play Kill Team all the time, every day, all day. don't do anything else.
That is one school of thought. Okay, fair enough. Uh, I completely agree. I think, well, I'm not going to say anything prescriptive yet,
Yeah.
but this seems like a must-buy book. Like,
I think it's safe to say it's better than Commanders.
oh yeah, yeah. Like, you have to buy the core rulebook,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would probably place this as the second book. But, you
Oh
know,
yeah,
gotta wait to see how things shake out.
yeah.
You never know. But that certainly seems to be the way things are at the moment. Yeah.
I think Games Workshop nailed it. I really do.
Oh, you mean they put rules in here that you literally have to buy to play the game, and they should have included in the core rulebook? Yeah, yeah.
No.
That's what
You
I
can.
mean. That's what I mean. But
I
I'm not.
I
I'm
feel.
saving this rant. This is another video. I'm not gonna go on it. I'm not gonna do it. But that is an argument some people make
I don't
because
disagree. Probably true.
my biggest issue with is Grey Knights. You don't get any
Yeah.
options. You can't
Yeah.
realistically fit Terminators into the team and still be viable competitively, right?
Yeah.
But you double your effectiveness, over double your effectiveness in one of the phases. That is the definition of pay to win. That's crazy. Like, I'm just
Or you
saying.
could just
I'm
you could
just
just
saying.
screen cap your book from
No,
home.
yeah, you could, of course, yes, that's true, that's true.
I mean, you could just.
Yeah,
Oops, I didn't bring my book today.
I don't think anyone would call you out for the Grey Knight one because it's such an easy one to remember as well.
I mean, if you're
But
if
yeah,
you're if you're playing casually and you only play Grey Knights and you're
oh,
never gonna go to a
who
competitive
cares?
tournament, who cares?
Oh, if
Like,
you play casually, don't buy the book. Who cares? Like, you don't need to. The argument's moot. But I obviously buy everything. Like, I carry it with me. I buy all this
yeah,
stuff. I don't, and it's like I think there is a very valid argument that all of these rules should have been included in the core book. However, with that said, this is all rules. Like, as a book goes, I'm happy to pay for it. I'm not talking about me
yes.
personally, to be clear. I'm okay with buying this. I think it's good value. But I 100% see people saying that argument.
I mean, like, I'm of the opinion if you're only gonna play Grey Knights and you're only gonna play casually, and you know, in my head, it defeats the purpose to buy a book for a literal page of text when you could spend that money on more models. Like, if you're going to support the store, then support the store with more models or buy snacks or drinks. And if it's literally one page, okay, like, I'm sure people are going to get fussy and be like, well, you should buy it. That's stealing. I guess technically, yes, it is stealing that one page, technically. But if you didn't do it and then you stopped playing and you didn't support the store because of it, which is the worst evil? Like, I don't know. It's one of those complicated discussions where some people think one, some people think the other. Is there a right answer? I don't know. We're not really here to talk about that, but the
No, a bit of a
reality
tangent,
is
yeah.
the reality is if you're going to support your store and you're going to have fun and you only play one thing and it's only got one page, I don't personally have any problem with someone saying, "Oh, here's a picture on my phone and I'm going to spend the money instead of on the book on buying some new models." Cool. Great. Do that. That's fine. I don't care. We're
No,
here to have fun.
I agree. I can 100% see some people being very salty about this book. For example, Harlequins.
Oh yeah.
It's
Yep.
like
Harley's
it's a
and
single page.
Games Workshop published that for free. So you're not even stealing it.
That is true. That is true. Yeah.
You
Okay.
could you could buy this, not buy this book as Harlequin player.
That is very true, actually. Yes. Well, I suppose reserve rules, but yeah, forget it. Forget it. Forget it.
Yeah.
That's only if you want to be really technical and weird about it. Um. Anyway, Sugi, thank you very much for coming on to the Glass Half Dead channel and having a chat for 2.5 hours.
Holy smokes!
That
That
was
was
only
longer than
like
I thought.
10 pages, man. We got the rest of the book to go through now.
That'll be
Which
faster, I promise.
okay, which we are
'Cause
going
we're-
to do over on your podcast now.
Yes.
So if anybody wants to see the second half of me and Sugi going through all of the units, not the sub-faction rules as we've just done now.
No commanders.
Oh yeah, we don't care about commanders. We talked about this pre-show. We're not covering that. We might in another, we're not saying we never
Yeah.
will, but not
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 today.
this time. Yeah, we've got limited time. We're busy people. Um, and yeah, so go over to your local, your preferred, that's the word, podcasting app, Squad Tactica, and of course, as I know he will say, you should always leave a positive review. Not a truthful one, just positive. Let's not screw around. We want
Leave
a
an orky
positive review. Yeah, 5 stars. Don't bother giving any less. And it has to be a text review for it to count. There you go.
But you gotta type it into the orc speak.
You can do that if you want. That's okay. You do that. And yeah, I am now going to be my first time ever as the guest instead of the host
Hey!
in one of these. So that's terrifying for me, of course. And we're going to go over there right now, in fact. Anyway, everybody, this has been Glass Half Dead, and this has been Sugi, who's over there, saying goodbye. Thank you very much. And please tell us what you think. Who were the big winners in your eyes for the sub-faction rules? Has Elites inspired you to go and start a new army? It definitely has for me. I'm making my Adeptus Astartes as we speak. And I'd love any comments, likes, subscribes, all that jazz, that social media stuff. It's there. I don't like shilling this hard, but I do because you got to. But anyway, Sugi, do you want to say goodbye?
Goodbye! May
And
the
this
force be with
is
you.
Andy saying goodbye as well. See you, everybody. Have a great day. Bye.